You know, there have been times over the years, I've been watching WWE television for a very long time. And there have been many occasions over the years where I have been embarrassed to watch this television show, whether it be Raw, SmackDown, whatever it may be. You know, Katie Vick, for example, comes to mind. That's sort of at the top of the list, right? Katie Vick. Doesn't really get any worse than that. There's been some bad, god-awful television over the years. I don't know that I have ever seen a segment as embarrassing, just on all levels, as the one that we saw tonight on this SmackDown show. I really don't. When you really take everything together collectively, like when you consider what the segment was, when you consider that this was a segment that was promoting a WrestleMania main event, we're not just talking about some random program. We're not talking about some random feud. We're not talking about some random PLE main event. We're talking about one of the WrestleMania main events, which has been hijacked by an outsider being brought in for reasons that have absolutely nothing to do with the story that was being told between the two men that are actually in the main event. Because that's really what's happened here, right? Whoever you want to lay the blame on for this main event, which was going along, perfectly fine, was hijacked. And now it has turned into something completely, I don't even recognize what this match is. I don't even recognize what this match between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton at WrestleMania is supposed to be. I really don't. But I'm watching this segment and like the word embarrassed, the word pathetic comes to mind. They were trying so hard tonight to sell tickets to a show that is not sold out. And the reason we know this is because they have beaten us over the head with it over the past week on their own television show. They did it last Friday. They did it on Monday. They did it again tonight. WrestleMania is not sold out. And so to incorporate this, what they did last week was bad enough, but to continue to incorporate that into the story and do what they did tonight was sheer desperation on the part of this company, the likes of which I cannot ever recall seeing as we build to a WrestleMania main event. Like, I've seen some bad WrestleMania builds before to a main event. Nothing like what we saw tonight. This was a truly historic night here on SmackDown. And I'm not even talking about the fact that, we've talked about SmackDown just as the drizzling diarrhea shits right now. It is the worst show on television, certainly in terms of wrestling shows, the worst show on television. But just watching Pat McAfee out there in the middle of the ring doing his shtick, which is what he is being told to do. This is not even a personal knock on Pat McAfee. The funny thing about all of this is that Pat McAfee, up until last week, was actually a beloved figure, by and large, by the WWE audience. He had been there, he had been a commentator, he had been on television for a number of years. And I think by and large, the audience, they respected him, they liked him, they could plug him in wherever they needed him, like they did last year with that match with Gunther if they needed a baby face to plug in there. And so now they've taken someone who the fans previously liked and they said, okay, we're going to make you a heel now. And now the fans are, shitting all over him. Okay, fine, I guess. But he is now the focal point of WrestleMania this year. I want you to think about that. Pat McAfee is the focal point for WrestleMania. And this is where we are right now. Now, they had an opportunity after last week because we know this is something that was run up the flagpole. This goes higher than WWE creative, right? We've heard all the stories over the past week. We know where this originates from. This goes beyond anybody in the writer's room. This goes beyond just the creative brain trust in WWE. But even still, Ari Emanuel himself, they had a week to look at the situation and abort mission. To abort the mission. You can still push ticket sales. You can still lower ticket prices and push ticket sales. You could do all of that stuff if you want to. But they had a week to look at this and go, okay, we see the reaction. We see that people have been shitting all over this all week long. And yes, last week's show apparently did better ratings than SmackDown has done in a very long time, which is not surprising because they had advertised coming into the show that we would get the reveal for the Randy Orton phone call angles. So, of course, nobody knew what the reveal was going to be, but they had built this up over a period of weeks. I'm not at all surprised to find out that last week was a highly rated episode of SmackDown. Even still, there was still time for them to abandon ship and salvage this WrestleMania main event that they had been building between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. And it would have been as simple as Randy Orton coming out this week because the man is a viper, the man is a snake, and Pat McAfee's out there acting like a fool, and he gets dropped with an RKO. Never trust the snake. And we could all just forget that any of this shit ever happened. Now, of course, what that would have accomplished is it would have put Randy Orton in a position to be cheered even more than he was already being cheered. So they didn't do that. Instead, they doubled down on what we saw last week. They didn't read the room, and we ended up what we ended up with tonight. Pat McAfee coming into the show promised a massive surprise. Massive surprise. Now, of course, you should know better than to trust WWE when it comes to any sort of massive surprise or any sort of mystery angle that they may be doing in terms of what the payoff might be. And if you were left disappointed tonight, then you have nobody to blame for that but yourself. I don't know what the fuck you've been paying attention to. This is WWE that we're talking about here. What did you expect? Truly, what did you expect tonight? The big surprise to be. The Rock? Give me a break. But he promised a massive surprise for this show. Do you want to know what that surprise was? Would you like to know what the massive surprise was for SmackDown tonight? Pat McAfee, in the course of his promo, mentioned that Ram Trucks, the official sponsor of WrestleMania, he made a phone call to Ram Trucks, and he got them to agree to cover 25% of all night one only night one WrestleMania tickets that are purchased from now up until the end of Raw this Monday night. And as soon as he said it, man, they couldn't get that fucking graphic up on that screen quick enough. 25% off. So, hey, the good news is that if you would like to go to WrestleMania, they did, in fact, drop ticket prices because now you've got 25% off for WrestleMania Saturday. Now through Monday. Get your tickets now. So for everybody who wants to be there live to witness Pat McAfee against Randy Orton against Cody Rhodes, I presume with Pat McAfee in his corner at ringside because he's in the graphic. In fact, the graphic for SmackDown tonight, I'm convinced they're trolling us at this point. The preview graphic for SmackDown tonight had Cody Rhodes and Pat McAfee, and Randy Orton was literally relegated to the background. He has been relegated, and if you watch the television show tonight, it actually makes all the sense in the world because Randy Orton was a background player tonight. He was in the background. We were 1 week away from WrestleMania. One half of the WrestleMania main event is now a bit player in the background. The real players here are Pat McAfee and Cody Rhodes. That is what this has become. But that was the big surprise tonight. The majority of the people who are watching this television show all over the country and all over the world are not even attending this fucking event. But boy, they made sure that you knew there were 25% off for all WrestleMania Night 1 tickets. Thanks, Ram. Ram it up your ass. That was the big surprise tonight for those of you who are wondering what it was. But that wasn't the only surprise that we got. Oh no, WWE was full of surprises tonight because Jelly Roll was back on the show. Now, the last time we saw Jelly Roll was a couple of weeks ago. He got dropped with an RKO by Randy Orton. And I told you last week, I said, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if the main event of Backlash turns out to be a tag team match with Randy Orton and Pat McAfee against Cody Rhodes and Jelly Roll. And now Dave Meltzer in The Observer this week had that very report that the current plan for Backlash on May 9th, which I believe is in Tampa, is to do a tag team match with Cody Rhodes and Jelly Roll against Randy Orton and Pat McAfee. The same Pat McAfee who reiterated tonight that if Randy Orton does not leave Las Vegas as the WWE champion, that he, being McAfee, will never again appear on wrestling television, which would seem to telegraph the outcome of the main event of night one. So Jelly Roll was back on the show and he was angry. Oh, he was very angry. He was very angry. He wanted to get his hands on Randy Orton for what he did. He literally put his hands on Pat McAfee. They're building a feud between Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee. Yes. And in fact, at the end of the segment with Pat McAfee and Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton finally popped up on the Tron about 5 hours after the fucking promo started. And we see Randy Orton, and he had, off camera, he had assaulted Jelly Roll. He had laid him out. Evidently, this is supposed to get heat, because they're trying to get Randy Orton booed. Do you know what they accomplished tonight? Randy Orton, they accomplished one thing. Randy Orton is no longer getting cheered. At least he wasn't tonight in San Jose. So, good job, guys. But guess what? Randy Orton barely got any kind of reaction at all whatsoever. He went from getting overwhelming cheers and these great ovations when he would come out because the people wanted to see him win number 15 at WrestleMania. And he comes out tonight and he gets nothing. Nothing. He gets no reaction. You know who's getting all the heat right now? Pat McAfee is getting all the heat. And now what they've done is they've taken Randy Orton. He's coming out and the fans don't know what the fuck to think. So good job, guys. Good job. And when the segment was over, guess who walked away with the WWE Championship over his shoulder? Not Randy Orton. Not Cody Rhodes. Pat McAfee. Because he is now officially the center of attention here on this show. He is the central focus of this story. I have nothing against Pat McAfee as a performer. He has been used in roles before, even the Gunther stuff, which I didn't mind. And Pat, look, he's done a good job with that stuff before. We've seen him play heel before, many years ago in NXT. If you remember, I think he was on one side, Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era were on the other side. We've seen him do this before. And I already saw some comments in the chat and in other places from people saying, oh, well, this is the reaction that Pat McAfee is talking about. He's talking about the IWC. He's getting everybody riled up. It's getting the reaction that it's desired to get. There are people who I swear to God, they will defend every fucking thing this company does until their dying breath. They will take that WWE cock and they will shove it down their throat until they fucking gag and their dinner will be all over the fucking floor. They feel compelled to defend every move that this company makes. The point is not whether or not Pat McAfee goes out there and gets heat. Pat McAfee can go out there and get heat because he's annoying. Of course he can get heat. That's not the point. How do you not look at this and understand what the problem is, though? How do you defend that? Don't you realize the real problem here is that you have taken the focus away from the two performers in the match? They are no longer the central focus of this match at WrestleMania. What WWE has done in 1 week, okay, we now have 2 episodes of SmackDown. In 1 week, they have ruined one of the main events of WrestleMania. And it started last week when Pat McAfee went out there and again is part of this angle, this brilliant idea that they came up with. Whether or not he was unscripted and they didn't know what he was going to say, the fact is they sent him out there. They sent him out there. And he cut a promo in an effort to hype up WrestleMania talking about how everything sucks. Now, it's one thing if I come on here every week and I tell you how everything sucks, because guess what? It fucking sucks. I'm not going to come on here and lie to you. I'm telling you like it is. You watch the same fucking show that I do. You could tell me I'm lying? You know everything out of my mouth is 100% true. Every time I come on here and talk about SmackDown, the worst television show right now going in all of wrestling, it's been this way for most of the year. It gets progressively worse week by week. I am not telling any lies when I talk about that, but it's one thing for me because I'm totally divorced from all of this, right? I'm an independent party here. I have no connection to any of this shit. I can come on here and give my honest opinion. Very different when you have somebody go on the show and as part of your main event angle, he goes out there and says everything sucks. The product sucks. The roster sucks. The champion sucks. The show isn't sold out. And we're here to save wrestling, right? Everything's the shits. But we're here to save wrestling. You don't see the issue with this? How does that sell tickets? But what they've done is they've taken a match that I was genuinely looking forward to, and I've been waiting a few years to see WWE finally do this match, and they have managed to ruin it. They have taken a match that I was genuinely looking forward to seeing at WrestleMania for a long time, and now I find myself in a position where I sit here and I'm like, I just can't wait for this shit to be over with. Can we just get this over with? Can we fast forward to the end of this so we could be done with this? That's where I am right now in this. For Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. Like, if you've listened to any of the shows I've done over the last couple of years, you've heard me talk about how, man, I can't believe they haven't done this match yet. I can't believe it. I can't wait for them to finally do a proper story between these two. There's so much history there to build on. And now I find myself in a situation a week out where it's like, I just can't wait for this shit to be over with. That's fucking sad. And I guarantee you I'm not the only one to feel that way. Now, if you're somebody who actually likes what's going on, or you think, oh man, this is adding a level of excitement to WrestleMania that wasn't there before. Look, I'm not even shitting on you for that. Like whatever the fuck you want to like, but don't sit here and tell me that, oh, well, the IWC only hates it because they're getting worked, or the IW, like, seriously, fuck off. Seriously. Fuck right off with that. You have to understand where these people who are watching this show are coming from when they talk about how awful and how counterproductive this angle is. That's, by the way, besides all of that, let's put that all on the side here for a second. That segment tonight was fucking terrible. It was a fucking awful, awful fucking segment. Just objectively, bad television. So it sucks that my interest level in this match has plunged into the depths of hell. At least we still have Roman Reigns and CM Punk on night 2. That's honestly the best thing I can say about it. They didn't announce officially the Jelly Roll is going to be at WrestleMania in Cody's corner, but it stands to reason that more than likely Jelly Roll will be a part of this main event in some way. To which I say, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I can't wait for all of this shit to be over with. This is so... Like, I'm watching this segment with him rolling down the window as McAfee is driving away out of the parking lot at the end of all this. And he's talking about marks, and he's talking about the IWC. And it's what I said last week. This is WCW 2000 levels of fucking Russo bullshit. And that's not a good thing. It is cringy, awful, try-hard television where they are trying to come off, I guess, as cool and inside. And they're taking an approach that is just all wrong and was completely unnecessary and has made this match something where I kind of look away and I shudder now when I see him come out there and he's doing his shtick and I don't even know how he's cutting these promos, the way he enunciates certain words. When we're talking about Randy Orton. Like, I love those reports of Ari Emanuel apparently thinking that he could be the next Sylvester Stallone. You got a lot of work to do, buddy, on that front. I've never seen Pat McAfee act in anything in my life, but if these promos that he has cut so far are any indication, this brother has a long way to go. It's going to be a fucking struggle for this guy if you think he's going to be your next big movie star. But we have to be subjected to this now on television every week because we get all these guys coming out here who are playing wrestler now. They're coming out here. It's fantasy camp for them. WrestleMania main event this year is basically the fantasy camp main event. And it's sad. It's sad. It's pathetic. And to see them basically groveling on television, begging people to buy tickets to their show without realizing the reasons why people are not buying tickets to your show. People aren't buying tickets to your show because, A, yes, prices are elevated and they're not willing to spend, or they can't spend that kind of money on tickets to a show, probably of any kind, let alone WrestleMania, but also your show sucks. Right now, your show is fucking terrible. And so who's going to spend $400 or $500 on nosebleed seats to go to your fucking terrible show? Like, this is a terrible television program. They did nothing tonight on this show. Throughout all of the segments on this 3-hour program, even forgetting the Cody and Randy stuff, they did nothing on this show tonight that I can honestly think anybody who is not a pod person from another planet or a bot to get anybody legitimately excited any more so than they may have already been for WrestleMania, which should be the objective of these shows a week out from WrestleMania, is to get people really hyped up and amped up. Man, you know what? I was kind of looking forward to WrestleMania, but now I can't wait for WrestleMania. The best thing I can say about it, I can't wait for the train wreck. That's your WrestleMania hype for this year. Our main event tonight was Jade Cargill against IYO SKY. IYO SKY at the moment has no match at WrestleMania. Now, maybe that'll change on Monday. There's a lot of balls that are hanging in the air right now. We don't know where they're going to land. Maybe she'll end up with a match at WrestleMania. We were saying that last week about Carmelo Hayes. Maybe he'll end up with a match at WrestleMania. The answer to that, no. He'll have to wait until next year. So we know that already. IYO, we don't know, but this may have been her WrestleMania main event tonight. She went one-on-one with Jade, all in the furtherance of the story between Jade and Rhea. And IYO went in there and she lost. She lost clean to the WWE Women's Champion. And then we had a standoff between Rhea and Jade. And I looked at my clock and I said, it's 11:03. It's kind of odd. SmackDown getting an overrun. I don't want to watch the actual 3 hours of this show. Now they're going into an overrun. No, we don't need more of this. We need less of this. We don't need more SmackDown. Don't ever do that again. If Raw goes over, fine. But SmackDown, absolutely not. We don't need to see that again. No overruns necessary. The best thing I could say about this show tonight, if I try to be nice, the best thing I could say about this show, we finally got the television debut of Royce Keys. I don't know why it took this long. We're a week out from WrestleMania. Now we get his debut on TV, but at least now he's on TV. And honestly, I think the reason we got him on TV this week is because he's winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal next week. Otherwise, I don't know why they didn't just wait another 2 weeks. We're a week out from WrestleMania. Why else would he debut tonight other than the fact, yes, they were in San Jose, which is basically his backyard. But I think he ought to be the winner in the Andre Battle Royal next week. Not that it means anything. Of course, it doesn't mean jack shit, but it would be a nice little feather in his cap. It would be something. It would be something. But yes, Carmelo Hayes was on the show tonight. He did not wrestle. He is not at WrestleMania. The Women's United States Championship will not be defended at WrestleMania. I don't know where Julia was. Tiffany Stratton, she went into WrestleMania last year, I believe, as the champion on SmackDown, as IYO did on Raw. Right now, both women, they have no match at WrestleMania. And the tag team titles, as far as the men goes, Raw and SmackDown, don't even get me started. We know the World Tag Team Champions on Raw, they have a match at WrestleMania. The titles are not on the line. Nobody gives a shit because the tag team division is dead. On SmackDown, Damian Priest and R-Truth, they are the tag team champions. R-Truth was on the show tonight, as was Damian Priest. They were in the back. R-Truth was the spokesperson for ESPN, and he was doing his cringy little plug that they always have him do for all of the brain damaged people apparently out there who have no idea how to use their phone and how to, use the ESPN app. Got R-Truth there to show you. But of course, the WWE tag team titles, they are not defended at WrestleMania this year either because the tag team division is dead. Neither set, they have 2 sets of men's tag team titles. Neither of them are being defended at WrestleMania. Neither of them should be defended at WrestleMania. I have no issue with that. The women's US title, that's a shame because all of the other singles titles are on the line, except that one. Let's talk about this show. This is your Friday Night SmackDown review. It is Friday, April 10th, 2026. I am the Solomonster. Do me a favor, like and subscribe. That would make me happy. Super chats are open as well. We have a bonus goal going on in the chat as far as that goes. But get them on in. You will see them popping up on your screen. Let me, we're not going there yet. Let me bring up the wheel. The Wheel o' Fun. See how many likes we need for Be the Booker tonight. And then we're going to get into this.
I'm the learning tree.
Oh boy, just what I needed.
Thanks, guys.
That's what I needed. Thank you, Brandon. 350. We need 350 likes. I'm pretty sure that we have already slammed past this. We're 441. So we are guaranteed at least one round of Be the Booker tonight. I'm done with this. I'm so done with this show. This show is so fucking bad. This show is so fucking bad. Like, I'm personally offended by how awful this television show is. I really am. Like, you have the talent that they have. I don't know how it's possible to put together a television show every single week that seems to get progressively worse. Like, that takes a special talent, and I'm not really sure why that is the case. I'm not really sure why this is happening. But this show is awful. I will fight anybody who tries to defend this piece of shit show. Now, after recapping last week's terrible angle, They cut to Cody Rhodes. He is walking in through the parking lot, and he encounters Nick Aldis. Cody wants to know where Pat McAfee is. I was hoping kidnapped in Bogota somewhere. But Aldis said that McAfee wasn't here yet. But he warned Cody, he said, look, when he gets here, you're not allowed to put your hands on him. No physical contact. It's under strict orders from above. This is above his head. So then, fucking Jelly Roll shows up. Out of nowhere, there he is, and he's all pissed off after what happened to him a couple of weeks ago, because the last time we saw him, he was dropped with an RKO. And so Jelly Roll was looking for Randy Orton and Pat McAfee, and he was told the same thing. Don't put your hands on them. Jelly Roll is not even a fucking contracted talent. He just shows up whenever he wants to. You have no control over him. What are you going to do? You put your hands on Randy Orton or Pat McAfee. What could they possibly do to him? Suspend him? He's not under contract. Jelly Roll could do whatever. Jelly Roll could show up with a fucking barbed wire baseball bat. He could have beaten Pat McAfee's brains in tonight. There isn't a damn thing that Pat Mac or Nick Aldis or Pat McAfee could do to Jelly Roll over it. But apparently he's bound by the same rules. He's a guest in their house, so he has to abide by the same rules, right? You want to come into the house, you got to take your shoes off like everybody else. So off goes Aldis. And then Jelly Roll turns to Cody Rhodes, and it's time for him to cut one of his he's going to cut one of his inspirational promos, which he's very good at. We've seen him do this a few times over the last several weeks. And he tells Cody, this isn't about Pat McAfee, this is about 20 years of friendship between Cody and Randy being flushed down the toilet. And he told Cody not to get distracted because this isn't about Cody's story anymore. Oh, it's not Cody's story anymore, all right. I don't know whose story it is. It's definitely not Cody's story. That is true. So the show opened proper with Rhea Ripley coming down to the ring, and she was pissed off. Yeah, she's not the only one. She said, this isn't about physiques. This isn't about any of that. Said, not anymore. Not after Jade attacked her EO. So she said, get your ass out here. Instead, EO came out. She was holding her ribs, which were injured on Monday night. She was beaten about with a kendo stick by Jade Cargill. So she did get EO chance. People still like IYO SKY. And Rhea wanted to know, why are you out here? You're still hurt and everything. And IYO said that she knows Rhea is angry, and so is she. A lot of angry people coming out of SmackDown tonight. I guess angry is better than depressed, which is how it usually is with these people on SmackDown. Everybody always seems so depressed. I mean, it's not really a surprise why. Tonight, everybody was angry. She knows Rhea will beat Jade at WrestleMania, but she wants to face Jade tonight. And Rhea said that IYO's not 100% after Monday. Are you sure? Are you sure this is what you want? And so there were more IYO chants, and IYO said, yes, I'm sure. So she's going to go talk to Nick Aldis if she has to, but she wants Jade tonight. And that brought out Nick Aldis, who confirmed it tonight in San Jose in the main event. It will be Jade Cargill one-on-one with IYO SKY. So the good news is that we got IYO SKY in the main event. The bad news is we had Jade Cargill in just a non-title main event here on SmackDown. That I don't like. Now, during the commercial break, I will point out, they accidentally played the NXT We'll Be Right Back screen. I was a little confused. They were showing images of Ethan Page and Lola Vice, Zarya. I'm like, am I watching the right show here? I wish I was watching NXT tonight. And then midway through, they switched it to the correct screen. I was watching on an Italian server, by the way, because my usual Netherlands server, I was not able to get SmackDown tonight. I think it's funny. I think they're playing whack-a-mole, and they're trying to kind of crack down on things with certain servers or countries or whatever. So I took a trip to Italy, and I was able to watch SmackDown that way. So then we had San Jose's own Bayley, who got a nice reaction coming out along with her partner Lyra Valkyria. We had Bayley against Alexa Bliss, who had Charlotte Flair in her corner. 2 of the 4 teams that are scheduled to battle for the women's tag team titles at WrestleMania. And it sounds like if Nikki Bella is not cleared, it's still very unclear if she'll be able to wrestle next weekend. It sounds like if Nikki Bella is not cleared, what they may do is they may swap Asuka and Kairi Sane into the match, which I don't understand at all. I really don't. Either Nikki Bella can go or she can't. If the Bella twins aren't able to wrestle, then take them out of the match and make it a triple threat. What is this obsession that it has to be a four-way? Like if these reports are to be believed, I don't understand that. You have a match between IYO SKY and Asuka, which now it sounds like they may hold off until Backlash to do it. Again, it's up in the air right now as far as WrestleMania, but you have a match that you've been building to. Asuka cut a video promo on her on Monday. IYO went on social media and said, "See you in Vegas," and cut her own promo on Asuka. Like you've been building to an actual match between the two of them. Whether or not Nikki Bella can go next weekend should have no bearing on whether IYO and Asuka have a match. I mean, to me, that's just stupid. We had Bayley and we had Alexa. I was having flashbacks here to This Is Your Life from 2017. You talk about bad television. I'll watch that segment from 2017. Okay, the Bayley This Is Your Life. I'll watch that 5 times straight. Yeah, that's right. You tell them. I'll watch that 5 times straight before I watch that McAfee segment ever again. Bayley countered a Sister Abigail DDT attempt from Bliss with a Bayley to belly. Bliss tried to get a pin using the ropes. Referee caught it, though. Bayley headed up top. She connected with her diving elbow for a very close near fall. I mean, Alexa, she waited until the last possible second to get her shoulder up on that. Bliss rolled out of the ring. Charlotte was there. Bayley went out after Alexa. Lyra Valkyria, she got up in Charlotte's face, and they were arguing, and this distraction allowed Alexa to sneak up behind Bayley and roll her up for the flash pin. And Alexa Bliss picks up the win. Of course, they had to beat Bayley in her hometown, because of course they did. Now, if she was wrestling a heel, you'd be like, okay, well, put more heat on whoever the person was that beat her. Fine. But you had 2 baby faces. Did you really have to beat Bayley in San Jose? The answer is no. I'm really genuinely starting to wonder if Vince is back. I mean, some of these decisions are just mind-boggling to me. This was a classic Vinceism here. Got to beat him in their hometown, pal. So yeah, tough night there for Bayley. Otherwise, I thought the match itself, I thought it was solid. Nothing too memorable. But it was nice to not have Nia Jax and Lash Legend run out to ruin the match. So at least we didn't get a fuck. Actually, we did get a fuck finish. Instead of getting a fuck finish with Nia and Lash, we got a fuck finish off the old distraction roll-up. I'd call that a fuck finish. So they replayed what happened last week when Sami Zayn beat Carmelo Hayes in their United States Championship match. And then it was to the back. And I was hopeful at this point. Okay, they're replaying it. We're about to get Mello. Maybe they're going to find a way, even though it doesn't make any sense at this point because he lost clean last week. I had people who were trying to explain to me, okay, like I don't know, I've watched wrestling twice in my life. Well, last week wasn't clean. That wasn't a clean win for Sami Zayn. Evidently because Carmelo Hayes, who had injured his leg in the course of the match, was in the corner, and the referee was in the corner asking him if he was okay. And Sami came flying in with the haluva kick, and I guess he wasn't ready. So therefore, it was unclean. This is what people were trying to tell. The only thing unclean is your ass, okay? He beat him clean last week. So as much as I would have loved to have seen Carmelo Hayes somehow added into this match at WrestleMania, at this point, it would not have even made any sense. He would have been a charity case. Like, all right, we'll throw you a bone here. We'll give you a WrestleMania spot. Like, you know what? He's probably better off. At this point, it doesn't even make any sense. But they cut to the back, and he's in the trainer's room. He's rehabbing his knee. And Matt Cardona is there with him. And Cardona's telling him, you'll have to wait patiently. I've been there before. You'll get your WrestleMania moment. One day, right? That day will not be today. But you will get your WrestleMania moment. You just have to be patient. It's totally worth it. It's worth the wait. So Trick Williams walks in with Lil Yachty. He was back too. So we had Pat McAfee, and we had Jelly Roll, and we had Lil Yachty. Do we have anybody else tonight? Just those three. I think it was just those three. We had IYO SKY on Monday. Lil Yachty was wearing a white t-shirt with a gingerbread man on it. Because last week they were calling Sami Zayn, the gingerbread man, because he's a ginger. So Hayes told him to get out of his face. I got to rehab my knee. And Yachty told Mello, you can watch WrestleMania from your couch. Mello told Trick, you know what? I hope you do win a WrestleMania. Because on the other side, I look forward to beating you and taking my title back. And then he left. And so at that point, I knew this guy ain't going to WrestleMania. Because the way this segment was scripted, he's already resigned. He's already resigned to the fact that he's not getting a WrestleMania match. So it was very clear from this, like, okay, he's out of the picture. He's not going to WrestleMania. He could always win the Andre Battle Royal, I guess, for a second year in a row, right? He could win Dre. Whatever happened to the necklace that he was wearing, right? Dre. Yeah, maybe he can do that. So Mello leaves, and Trick looks at Cardona, and he goes, what the hell are you looking at? And Cardona said that he was tired of all these guests running their mouths like they own the place. And Trick said usually he doesn't have the time for this, but I'm going to WrestleMania. So then Yachty speaks up. And Yachty said that, no, you know what? You can whoop on this guy tonight. And Trick was caught off guard by this guy speaking for him. And Cardona liked the idea. And he said, you know what? I'm going to go find Nick Aldis and I'm going to go make it official. And Trick looked annoyed, and Yachty, they went back and forth. I will say this. As much as the celebrity mania, I have total just celebrity fatigue at this point. Lil Yachty and he and Trick, they play well off of each other. Trick doesn't need him though. Like if this was going to be a long-term thing, he doesn't need him because Trick is a great talker on his own. So that's the thing about it. Like they don't need to really be a pairing, but they do play well off of each other. I'll say that. Look, I had praise for IYO SKY. I think what Speed's done so far is great too. I don't need to be seeing Lil Yachty and IYO SKY and Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee, and they're trying to get Tom Brady. Like, I don't need this. Like, we don't need this. We don't need all of this at once. It's overwhelming the show going into WrestleMania. After the break, we got a Drew McIntyre video. And he was talking from behind bars, which is where every single person responsible for this television show belongs. So he's cutting his promo in a jail cell. Said, tonight we're close to Fatu's hometown. And he revealed at this point that he was speaking from a jail cell. We didn't see that at first. And he knows Fatu spent a lot of time here. This cell is who Fatu is and will always be. He's a convict. His family needed a father and a provider while all Fatu gave them was a walking mugshot. Said unsanctioned at WrestleMania means he'll beat Fatu within an inch of his life. Just so Fatu can screw up again and wind up right back here. He said the system failed Drew, and Fatu has been stealing from him ever since. At WrestleMania, he's Fatu's judge, jury, and executioner. So then we cut to the back, and we saw Jacob was watching this on a flat screen. Kathy Kelly was right there to ask for his immediate opinion on what he just saw. And before Fatu could really say much, Solo Sikoa and the MFTs approach Jacob Fatu. Yes. The last people I was looking for at this point in the show, as I was preparing myself for what we were about to get with Pat McAfee, and I get the MFTs. So they exchange words, and Fatu says, hey, we could run this back again later if you want to. And I'm like, no, I don't think we need that. Please, no. So Solo brings up this being the same place here in San Jose all those months ago when Jacob had all 11 teeth kicked out of his mouth. He's sticking his tongue. WAZZZAP. Like, what the fuck? He's sticking his tongue. WAZZZAP. Like, what the fuck? And Solo accurately pointed out, we still don't know what happened, which is kind of crazy because I had people, telling me, well, Solomonster, they already established that it was Drew McIntyre. And I keep telling you people, no, it wasn't. It was Randy Orton. Just give it time. We'll find out. But Solo's like, yeah, we never did find out exactly who was responsible for that or, what happened there. So he said that Tama Tonga might do something about it. And Tama got caught off guard by this, but he steps up to Fatu, and we find out that the two of them are going to have a wrestling match later on in the show. So we are back to Fatu and the MFTs, at least for one night only. We're back to this again. And we just achieved the bonus goal. So that's very good. See, we are very active tonight, I can tell. That's good. That's good. It'll keep the blood pumping as we go along here. We got a video package introducing us to Royce Keys as he talked about his own past and, all the drug issues and growing up, in the mean streets of Palo Alto in a very dangerous area out there in California. And he visited his childhood home. So this was just a quick segment to get us prepared for the in-ring SmackDown debut of Powerhouse Hobbs here on this show. It was time for Royce Keys, and he was going to be taking on one half of Los Garza. It was Berto. Tough challenge tonight for Royce Keys. Angel was out there with him, but it was Berto. Berto got to play victim tonight. Next week, well, maybe not next week, but maybe the week after that, it'll be Angel. Tonight, though, it was Berto's turn. This was almost all Royce Keys, as it should be. There was one moment in the match they were outside, and Keys got distracted by Angel, and he got shoved into the ring post by Berto. And that was about the only real bit of offense that Berto had here in this match. This was a situation where Berto got to show off some flashy offense for, maybe 90 seconds or so. And then he got caught off of a diving crossbody. And then he got dumped with a fallaway slam. Keys hoisted him up onto his shoulders for the running power slam. Angel tried to interfere. He got dropped on the apron with a clothesline. Down came the straps, and Keys finished him off with an Arn Anderson-esque spinebuster. And he picked up the win in his debut. And as I said at the beginning of the review, that right there should be your winner next week in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Because if not, I don't really understand what the purpose was in debuting him now. You could have debuted him a month ago. Because remember, he was in the Rumble. He technically debuted in the Royal Rumble. That was what was that, February 1st or January 31st? And then we haven't seen him work in dark matches ever since against Berto and fucking Nathan Frazier. And this is all he's been doing now for like 6 weeks. They had 6 weeks to debut him on TV before tonight. And now we're so close to WrestleMania. It's like, all right, he's not on the WrestleMania card. You can debut him maybe on the first SmackDown coming out of WrestleMania. I think they chose to do it tonight in part because of where they were. But I also think that by debuting him tonight, you've now set him up to be the obvious winner next week, because why not? Like, you would expect him to be in the match. Why would he be in the match? He already was in the Rumble and lost. Like, at least let him win the Battle Royal. You're trying to establish this guy on the roster as a monster. Let him go in there and win. That's what I would do. I'm picking him to win. Outside the arena, Pat McAfee arrives. Oh, joy. Here he is. Pat McAfee is here. He's in his pickup truck all by himself, and he runs into Nick Aldis on his way into the building. And he verified with Aldis. He goes, you did tell them, right? You told them that no one is allowed to put their hands on him tonight. And Aldis said, yes, I told them. So then he tossed his keys to him like he's a valet. He dropped them on the floor. So he had to pick him up, and he gave his keys to Aldis. And he starts walking into the building, and he gets approached by Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll's been waiting all night for this moment. Jelly Roll wanted to know, were you the one who told Randy Orton to drop him 2 weeks ago with that RKO? And Pat denied it, but he told him, you shouldn't have been there anyway, dude. Like, you shouldn't have been in there in between Randy and Cody to begin with. And Jelly said, well, you're right. I shouldn't have been there, but you had no business being there either. He goes, why are you here? Yeah, it's a really good question. Why are you here? So he tells Jelly Roll, look, it's a lot bigger than you could ever imagine. He called Jelly an outsider who's not supposed to be a part of their business. So Jelly Roll threatened to check him right now since he didn't see Randy Orton around anywhere, and then he grabbed him by the shirt and he backed McAfee up against the wall. Nick Aldis was over quickly to stop him, so Jelly shoved Nick Aldis too. May as well. Again, he doesn't work there. And then McAfee told foreign Adam Pearce to get that ex-con out of the building, and then he proceeded to make his way towards the ring because he and Randy Orton, we have to save the business. We have to save the business. After the break, Kathy Kelly was in the back to talk to Royce Keys. And Keys talked about making his SmackDown debut here in the Bay Area. He was all pumped up until Solo Sikoa showed up. Boy, he's just interrupting segments left and right tonight, isn't he? He just goes around backstage waiting to see who's being interviewed. Which interview can I crash? First it was Jacob Fatu, now it's Royce Keys. So he walks up to Royce and he says he runs things around here, so if Keys ever needs anything, his door is always open. So they already have Keys now working with the MFTs. I mean, God give me strength. Give me strength with this fucking show. But it gets worse. Much, much worse. Because after that, it was time for legitimately, I'm not being hyperbolic here. I've seen a lot of bad television on SmackDown over the years, but when you take everything into account, this was legitimately one of the worst segments in SmackDown history. And it's Pat McAfee on his way to the ring by himself to play pretend heel, which is what this entire thing feels like, by the way. It is so forced. It is so forced and so out of left field. Like, some people can pull it off. And again, I'm not saying Pat can't be a good heel, but this seems so forced. It feels like he's out there putting on a performance and he's trying so hard. He's trying too hard to be just the big shithead heel. And I think people are still looking at this and still wondering to themselves, they don't really even get why this is happening. It still really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. When McAfee comes out to the ring, as soon as he comes out, they booed him. Lost my connection there for a second. See, even my connection is pissed off at this show. I think my OBS is trying to tell me, dude, don't even talk about this show. Let's just end it right here. I think my software is trying to send me a message. There's a reason why it buffered right when I'm about to start talking about the McAfee segment, but I must. This is my job. It's my obligation. I must go on. I didn't sit through 3 hours of this horseshit tonight to keep it all to myself. I'm not going to keep it all bottled up. We're all going to talk about it here now. So anyway, McAfee is in the ring. And they're booing him, and so he climbs the ropes, and again, he flips off the crowd with the double bird. Hey, at least they got somebody some heat. It wasn't Randy Orton getting the heat, but at least someone's getting heat. Someone other than Cody. He said it's crazy that they boo him. He's the hero in this entire thing. He said the fans cheer for these spineless bums like CM Punk. Did you like what he had to say on Monday when Punk called him Pat McAfee? For him, it's hard to take serious because as Punk was talking the other night about a lot of people more important and in better shape than he is, it was hard to get past the fact that he was wearing a WWE officially licensed CM Punk jacket with an officially licensed WWE t-shirt on underneath the jacket. He's got 283 things for sale to all of you on WWEshop.com. And he wonders, when that TKO merch check comes through, who does it go to? Does it go to the needy families who can't afford WrestleMania tickets? Or does it go right into the bank account called I'm Sorry Saudi Arabia? So I want to stop right here for a moment. So several minutes of this segment were dedicated to Pat McAfee responding to the guy who was in the other WrestleMania main event. This for a little bit here morphed into Pat McAfee versus CM Punk, even though we're supposed to be promoting Cody Rhodes against Randy Orton. So he called Punk a fraud. He continued to cut a promo on CM Punk, who was not a part of this match, by the way. He called him a fraud. It was like a politician. Says all talk, no action. Said a man who has the chance to change things, but he gets into the ring, he sits down, he rolls over like the little bitch that he is. Him, Pat McAfee, he says, I'm an agent of change. And when Punk mentioned that the ticket prices are too high, he couldn't help but agree with him. If it wasn't for Randy Orton, why would anyone want to spend their money to watch WrestleMania? So he decided to be our hero. He called a fan in the crowd fatso at this point. Now he's channeling his inner 1987 Ric Flair. He's looking over in the crowd. Hey, fat boy. Goes, even though none of you disgusting bums deserve it, he decided to help them out. He called Ram Trucks. Now, Ram Trucks is the official sponsor, he says, of WrestleMania this year. So he called Ram Trucks and asked them if they want to help wrestling fans get to WrestleMania. And they said, absolutely. So he asked them, why don't you pick up 25% of the bill? This is how bad things have gotten in terms of their greed, okay, and the prices of these tickets. It's one thing to just lower the ticket prices. What they have done here, if you really stop and think about it, is they are having now this is, I don't know if they're actually doing this or not, but like in storyline at least, they're having one of their sponsors pick up the tab and shave 25% off tickets that are sold for WrestleMania Night 1 between now and Monday night. We'll have Ram Trucks cover the cost of 25% of everyone's tickets because the prices are so fucking high. Instead of just lowering them, Ram Trucks has agreed to pay a portion of everyone's ticket for WrestleMania Night 1. That's how bad things have gotten. This is now part of the storyline. This is part of the story now of this match. That's pathetic. And Pat McAfee is coming out and he's flipping everybody off and he's calling them marks and he's calling them fatsos and he's calling them scum and he's calling them all sorts of horrible things, right? And yet he's baby-facing everybody by saying, guess what? I made one phone call, and so all of you now can get a 25% discount on your WrestleMania tickets. You're welcome. So I don't know. I mean, he's supposed to be a heel or he's supposed to be a babyface. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on here. This entire situation is very weird. Now he's gone babyface here in this moment. So immediately, as soon as he mentions this, a graphic shows up in the corner of the screen. 25% off all WrestleMania Saturday tickets now through Monday. Go to Ticketmaster.com. Like, they couldn't get that. You know how, like, when you're watching Dynamite and there are two guys and they're like, hey, you know, we're going to have a match tonight. And then 5 seconds later, oh, Tony Khan has made it official. And they have the graphic already. And then it's like, boom, right there in the corner. And I'm like, really? That quickly, huh? Oh, they couldn't wait to get that graphic up on the screen. This basically just turned into a commercial to try to sell more tickets for WrestleMania because they are desperately trying to move tickets for. You would think they had 10,000 tickets sold for WrestleMania this year. Like, the desperation could not be more obvious. And apparently, with all the things that they've done over the last couple of weeks, they announced John Cena as the host of WrestleMania. They had this angle with Pat McAfee last week. The number of tickets that they have moved since these announcements have been minuscule. Like, I look at the current numbers for where they are. They really haven't moved. It's not like, well, they were at 39,000. Now they're up to 45, 47. No, they've barely, dude, it's like 39, 40, 41. They've barely even made a dent. It has made no difference whatsoever. Now, maybe this 25% off discount will make a difference. And then you'll have the idiots who will justify this entire stupid angle by saying, oh, look, see, their ticket discount worked. Because they'll find any way they can to justify this horrendous bullshit. But I'm watching this and I'm like, this is sad. Like, this is really sad. Randy Orton, he says, will be a 15-time world champion in Las Vegas after he demoralizes and pummels the puppet. And before he could go on even further, we hear, well, here comes the puppet and his music. Here comes the WWE champion, Cody Rhodes. And mercifully, he cut off McAfee here, but he took a sweet time coming down to the ring. And he gets inside, prolonged the pain of this segment. I'm like, can we speed this up, please? So he gets up in McAfee's face, and he got some light Cody chants. This was not like, Cody. He was not getting some overwhelming, okay, now they're fully behind Cody Rhodes. But there were some Cody chants. And he said, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I don't think Pat McAfee belongs here. He knows he can't touch him, but why don't we get him a Fanatics replica belt? They look just like the real thing. He could do one of the wrestler entrances. He can live out his superstar experience, and then he can go back to whoever sent him here and he can tell them, thank you, daddy. There's this old term in pro wrestling where someone says, oh, he's a play wrestler. He didn't know what it meant until last week when he saw Pat McAfee doing catchphrases, talking about the Attitude Era. He goes, that was 30 years ago. Randy Orton debuted in 2002. He was a teenager during the Attitude Era. He watched the Attitude Era in high school. Then he mentioned there was an old promoter named Paul Bosch. And I'll tell you what, I never would have expected that in the span of 1 week, we would get 2 Paul Bosch mentions on 2 different WWE shows. But here we are, because they were in Houston on Monday night. And if you remember, CM Punk mentioned Paul Bosch in his promo now. Where's Paul Bosch when you need him? We could use Paul Bosch right about now. But he goes, Paul Bosch, he used to, because McAfee talks about marks and he talks about, the IWC and making the business great again. He goes, you know what Paul Bosch used to say about people that would call the fans marks? He goes, they're not marks, they're customers. And they're not even customers to Cody. To Cody, they're family. He goes, Pat has a gift. For the centuries that pro wrestling has been around, they have never agreed on anything except what he's about to tell them. For the first time ever, the entire fandom agrees on one thing. At WrestleMania, they want to see Randy Orton. And they don't want to see Pat McAfee. And the fans let out a cheer. See, so Cody got a cheer here. He got cheered. Cody told him, go home, Pat. So Cody went to go leave. And McAfee said, I am home, dipshits. Cody was born into this business, he says, silver spoon. And all he sees is the fakest dude on earth. Spray tan, dyed hair, fake teeth, lispy lips, and a $10,000 suit that you think makes you look good because Ric Flair said it's the right thing to do. He called Cody a cosplay champion, and he has a message for Cody and his inbred family here. If Randy Orton doesn't walk out of WrestleMania as a 15-time world champion, then we will never see or hear from Pat McAfee on wrestling television ever again. We'll never be in this business ever again. So the fans chanted, go home, Pat. Cody told him, hey, Pat, why don't you take your shades off, bud? Or wait, are you too high to remember that you were standing on that table for the last 3 years, yeeting your brains out? He says, oh, yeah, you must really hate this place. And Pat said, I'm tired. Oh, you're tired? Oh, this is Cody talking to him now. I go, oh, you're tired. You said you're tired. Well, why don't you take a nap? He goes, let's get Gunther out here to put you to sleep once and for all. And I was like, yeah, we already saw that. I don't know if Cody remembers that we already saw that, but we already saw that once before. We don't need to see it again. So Cody left the ring, and McAfee asked him, hey, where are you going? And he called him. He's trying to get him to come back. And he calls him Stardust, and he goes, where are you going, Cody? You're going to go suck Triple H's ass. This is what he said. Are you going to suck Triple H's ass, he says. Are you going to spread Levesque's cheeks? I can just picture some of the people in the crowd who are not really, like, chronically online or on social media. They don't follow all of this stuff. Like, listening to this fucking, like, garbage. Like, what are we even doing here? Now he's out there talking about Cody sucking Paul Levesque's ass cheeks. What are we doing? How did we go from Cody Rhodes against Randy Orton to this? And by this point, we still had not seen Randy Orton on this show. So Cody pulls his jacket off, he pulls his tie off, and he begins to make his way back down to ringside. Suddenly, finally, Randy Orton appears on the screen. And he says that Cody should come get his boy. And we see him kneeling over the dead body of Jelly Roll, who was taken out off screen. He goes, better yet, I'll bring your boy out to you. And Orton drags out Jelly Roll out to the stage. McAfee tried a sneak attack on Cody, who turned to face McAfee, but Orton ambushed him from behind. So we got a double team attack here on Cody. Now Jelly Roll recovers. And he stumbles his way down to the ring. And he gets up on the apron. And at one point he had goozled McAfee, right? He grabbed him by the throat to not much of a reaction. Orton comes over, he punches Jelly Roll, who tumbles off the apron to the floor. McAfee hands Orton the WWE title. And he blasts Cody in the head with it. And then it was very appropriate that at the end of all of this, Pat McAfee has the WWE Championship draped over his shoulder. Not Cody Rhodes, not Randy Orton, Pat McAfee. And McAfee and Orton, they leave the ring. And then after a commercial break, we cut to the back. Orton and McAfee are leaving the building. McAfee is still holding the WWE title. And he gets back in his pickup truck. Orton's in the passenger seat. And McAfee rolls the window down. And he says, hey, IWC and wrestling fans, or marks, if you will, you're welcome. And then he speeds away. I don't know that I can adequately put into words how fucking terrible all of this is. And if you're somebody who finds some sort of kind of twisted pleasure or enjoyment out of all this, I mean, God bless you. God bless you. This has taken a WrestleMania main event that I was genuinely looking forward to. And it is a situation now where I'm trying to look ahead to what comes next and look beyond what's coming up next weekend. And it doesn't get any better because if the rumors are to be believed, we're heading for a tag team match where it's going to be Cody and Jelly against Randy Orton and Pat McAfee. So this is only going to continue at least for another month. It's only going to continue. It doesn't end at WrestleMania. It just goes on from there and it just continues. This is genuinely bad television. This is embarrassing. It's the sort of thing that, again, if I saw this in another promotion, and I have, at times before, I would cringe watching it. But this is the WrestleMania main event. This is Cody Rhodes, their top babyface, the WWE champion. This is their top angle right now. And it's all being done in the name of trying to, get Pat McAfee in a role that's going to get him added visibility for whatever other roles his agents may have in mind for him. But also because WrestleMania, the first hour of each night, is airing on ESPN this year. And they want to use an ESPN personality to try to get as many eyeballs on the show as possible. Storyline be damned. It doesn't matter to them. These people that are making these decisions above Paul Levesque and whoever would normally be making these types of creative decisions, their main priority right now is not story. For a company built on story, we tell stories. We're storytellers. It is in the background now. It is not the priority. The story doesn't matter. It's not about that. A, they want to sell tickets because they're pissed off they haven't sold as many as they did last year. And B, they have so many ulterior motives and intentions in mind here that it is clouding what had been otherwise the potential to be a very good story. And that's really the great sin, I think, of this entire thing. It didn't have to be this way. But you have, a TKO executive who's sitting up in his penthouse, who has jelly for brains, and who doesn't really give a shit about any of this. But if you're someone who watches the shows week to week, if you're a fan who will buy a ticket to go to WrestleMania or tune in on the ESPN app and you're paying attention week to week to what's going on here, there's no justification for this. It's bad television. It's embarrassing. And frankly, again, it's pathetic to see them groveling this way on their own show. And they've incorporated it into the storyline because they're so unhappy with ticket sales. They are begging people, begging them to buy tickets. We'll do anything. You know, we'll have this discount, and we'll have Ram Truck sponsor a 25% discount, and on 316 day we'll have another discount. Buy one, get one for, like, they're trying everything they can right now. And tickets aren't moving at the pace that they were hoping for. You got to give people a reason to actually want to tune in and actually show up and pay money to go to the show. And they have done a terrible job with one of the key matches on their show. It's unforgivable what they have done with this match here. Did not need to be this way. Blame whoever you want to blame for it, but this is where we are now. This is now the Pat McAfee show. This has nothing to do with Randy Orton. This has nothing to do with Randy Orton winning number 15. He may well win number 15, but that's not even the story here. The story is no longer Randy Orton or Cody Rhodes. It's Pat McAfee and Jelly Roll. This is 2026 WWE. And I've seen some bad build-ups to matches and main events. I vividly remember the tug of war back in 2018 over the WWE Championship heading into WrestleMania between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Like, there's still some stuff like that stands out in my mind. And we're not even at the final, like, go home SmackDown yet, but I've seen enough. I don't even need to know what they do now. I've seen enough. This is among the worst I've ever seen. Just the absolute drizzling shits. Nick Aldis was confronted backstage by The Miz and Kit Wilson, who complained about what happened to referee Dan Engler last week. There was a tag team championship match, and the referee was about to count 3, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, he was cursed. And his arm, he couldn't count the 3, and something was going on with his arm. Like the fucking berserker. And so they were very upset about this. And they said there had to be consequences for what happened. So Aldis said that Kit Wilson is going to face Dan. He thought he was going to say Dan Engler, but he goes, Danhausen. You're going to have a match with Danhausen tonight here on the show. And I thought to myself, wait a minute. That's the 4th match that was made tonight during the show. We had IYO SKY and Jade Cargill. Apparently we had no main event. So we had IYO and Jade that was signed at the beginning of the night for the main event. We had Jacob Fatu, right, in action. Who did Jacob? Oh my God, I can't remember. Trick Williams? No, Tama Tonga. I don't fucking know. He wrestled Tama Tonga. Matt Cardona went to go find Aldis so that he could wrestle Trick Williams later in the show. And now this, Danhausen against Kit Wilson, 4 fucking matches. What does Nick Aldis do all week? Other than, of course, I mean, look, I'm sure he, has some happy time with his wife, and that's great. Good for him. But like beyond that, what else does this man do? Is that all he does during the week? Because if so, I mean, hey, good for you, man. High five. But my God, 4 fucking matches. Did he have anything booked other than Pat McAfee tonight when he came to the fucking building in San Jose? What does he do all week? Jacob Fatu against Tama Tonga. Crowd was dead silent through the commercial break here. They got into Fatu late in the match. We had a moment here where he had hit the pop-up Samoan drop. And then we had Tama looking for cutthroat, which is his finish. There was a kick from Fatu that met him instead. And then we got the mighty moonsault. And the people pop for the moonsault because you always pop for the mighty moonsault. And with that, Jacob Fatu was able to pick up the win. This was on the slow side. Fatu, though, he looked good here, and the crowd popped for, again, the finish. I would imagine Solo Sikoa is not going to be very happy that Tama Tonga went in there and he lost on behalf of the MFTs. And so if there are people who are actually invested in this story, then maybe they'll care. But I can't imagine most people really give a shit about this. When the match was over, though, Fatu, he got on the mic. Didn't really get a chance to say too much until he was attacked from behind by Drew McIntyre. So Fatu hit him with a super kick, but then he got dropped with a Claymore. McIntyre threw him out of the ring. He sent him headfirst into the steps. And then he grabbed a chair. and he slammed it across Fatu's back. McIntyre planted him with a future shock DDT on the floor, and then he grabbed a pair of handcuffs. Look at this. We're getting kinky now between these two. So he grabs handcuffs, and it's like the long chain, right? So what he does, and this actually turned out to be maybe the funniest segment of the entire show. He handcuffed him to the ring post, but he did it in a way. Now, we've seen this before. If you remember the way Randy Orton cuffed John Cena to the post in their I Quit match many years ago at Breaking Point, or to use an example that was given to us on Raw Monday Night by one CM Punk. If you remember the infamous dog food segment on this show, when Roman Reigns got cuffed to the ring post by King Corbin and was forced to eat dog food, the way that we're forced to eat dog shit every single week that we watch this television show. That's what they did here. So he placed the chain over the ring post, and the idea was that Fatu would be cuffed to the post and he would be defenseless, right? Except, I guess the chain broke. I don't know what happened here. And so after like one shot that he gave him, the cuffs broke and Fatu fell to the floor. So he did it again. He cuffed him around the ring post, and then he gave him another shot. And for a second time, the cuffs broke, I guess, and he fell to the floor. The cuffs went into business for themselves. So back in the ring, there was one final Claymore kick from McIntyre that put Fatu down for good. Officials and producers, they flooded into the ring and tried to stop McIntyre, but he shoved them away, and he was whipping Fatu with his belt. It broke 3 times, says Anobi. Oh, wow. Well, all right. I thought it was twice. It might have actually broken 3 times. The cuffs were not cooperating. So this was the final bit of hype for their unsanctioned match. I would imagine next week, with a lot of this stuff, we're going to get a lot of video packages. So for all intents and purposes, unless they have like a contract signing or something, this was really it. And, you know, I thought what they did was fine. I mean, I'm just not terribly excited for a lot of what's going on SmackDown right now. I'm really not. But Drew and Jacob, I have every expectation they're going to go out there and have a kick-ass match. Despite, you know, the segments week to week or the story that they're trying to tell with them. Once the bell rings and they go out there and they do their thing, I'm not worried about the match. I'm sure the match is going to be very good. Now we go to the back. R-Truth is doing his monthly shilling of the ESPN Unlimited app and how to use it. Again, for everybody who is too brain damaged to figure it out on their own, here's what you do. So he's talking to somebody. We can't see who it is. They're off camera. And then the camera pans over and we see that it's Danhausen. He says he's going to become the Miz's apprentice after beating Kit Wilson tonight. So Damian Priest walks in and Truth is denying that he confused Danhausen with Asuka last week, and comedy ensues. Then we hear a commotion nearby. Rhea Ripley throws B-Fab into some equipment. And then we see Rhea and she goes 1 down, 1 to go. Then after this, it was out to the ring with the United States champion. No, not Julia. She's banned from the building. But the men's United States champion, Sami Zayn. And he is getting booed badly. Like, he's a heel to these fans. Like, this is not like, oh man, he got some light boos. Like, no, he went out there and he was fucking booed out of the building. And he goes, of course he acknowledged it. He goes, interesting reaction. Yes, very interesting. He said, well, I think it's about time we nip this in the bud. He could hear the winds of change. Says all everyone talks about is change these days. Even his friends like Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton have told him that he should change and he should, become a different Sami Zayn. But out here, by the sound of it, the people want to see change as well. And they're just booing the shit out of him. More boos raining down upon poor Sami Zayn. So Sami says he's built his career around giving people something more than a t-shirt or a phrase or a viral moment. He's tried to give us himself. He wants to be himself. He wants to be real. And he wants people, he knows that people are going to boo, but there's also people that will cheer because he's got fans out there that still care about him being able to give them something real. Those are the fans he cares about, the kids that he meets who believes in him. Boo. He's just going on. He goes, the people who found inspiration in him. Boo. That's basically the crowd tonight towards poor Sami Zayn. He says he still loves us and he's not going to betray us. As for the ones booing him, he doesn't even know what did I do, he said. Like, what did I do to deserve this? But that's okay because he doesn't care. His real fans will always have his back. He knows there are ride or die Sami Zayn fans out there. He goes, where you at? Where are those ride or die fans? And they just continued to boo. If they were there, they were drowned out by the fans who were booing. He goes, in 9 days, he enters WrestleMania as the champion, and he will leave as champion. Boo. So that brings out Trick Williams, who definitely, he gets the opposite of boos. He gets applause. The fans are very happy. Yes. The fans are very happy to see Trick Williams. They chant, whoop that trick, as he makes his way out to the ring with his side chick, Lil Yachty. So Trick thinks that the people are tired of hearing Sami talk. That gets a big pop. All Sami does is whine and cry. Trick didn't need 20 years to get to this spot, but whether you like it or hate it, he's going to beat Sami's ass at WrestleMania. Everyone loves Trick Williams, and Sami disagrees. He says the people don't love Trick. Love takes time to build. What have you been here for? 6 months, if that? And I'm like, it's more like half that. It hasn't even been anywhere close to 6 months that he's been on TV on the main roster. He goes, the fans have a crush on Trick. They may even be a little infatuated, and for good reason. But here's the thing. You can make jokes at his expense, but at WrestleMania, Trick has to wrestle a main eventer. And Trick will drown in deep waters. Trick hasn't shown anything, and at WrestleMania, he'll find out real quick whether or not he can hang. So out comes Matt Cardona for the next match, and with that, we go to the commercial. As far as the reaction to Sami, I mean, this has been building now for a while. This was not like an overnight thing. People have liked Trick from the moment he showed up on SmackDown. They hear that music. They want to chant, whoop that Trick. I would say within 2 weeks, if that, right, of him being on the main roster, he was already getting more cheers than boos. It's just been building and building and building ever since then. And for Sami, it's exactly the opposite, where the fans kind of started booing him, and now it's just full blown like fucking boo, we don't like you, you know, you're too weak. And I mean, how many times do we have to sit through segments on this show where Sami was like second guessing himself and he was depressed and he was smacking water bottles around? And I mean, you know, after a while, fans are like, I don't want to cheer for this guy. This guy's fucking pathetic. This guy over here, he looks cool, right? He's fun. We'll cheer for him. So it's been a gradual thing, and I'm watching this, and I mean, I certainly hope that was the anticipated reaction. Yeah, you had Sami going, wait, hold on a second, what did I do? Like, I would certainly hope that was all part of the plan here, and not him just genuinely like, hey, hold on a minute here, I got my ride or die fans. What are you booing me for? Never in all these weeks that we've been seeing this play out. Has it felt to me like a better time, and I've said this before, to do a double turn at WrestleMania than it does right now? You could pull it off. You could pull it. I mean, the fans were already kind of doing it for you, but I think there's a way to do it at WrestleMania where Sami is willing to go to a place and do something that he normally would not be willing to. Like babyface Sami Zayn would not be willing to take a shortcut. He would not be willing to take the low road if that's what it takes to keep his championship. And I think we're going to see something like that at WrestleMania. That'll be sort of the inflection point, and I call it a double turn or whatever, but I think that's the moment where everything kind of gets flipped because it just makes all the sense in the world. And Trick doesn't have to win the belt at WrestleMania. Like, you could just have that moment where Sami finally realizes, like, okay, you want me to change. And he, like I said, he takes that shortcut. He's able to keep his championship. And then coming out of WrestleMania, you can build to Trick eventually getting the belt. I don't know if that's what they're going to do, but Trick doesn't necessarily have to win the title of WrestleMania, is what I'm saying. But again, if it wasn't clear earlier in the show, it's certainly clear now. No Carmelo Hayes added to this match at WrestleMania. But we had Trick Williams against Matt Cardona. This did not need 13 minutes. This probably went about 5 minutes too long. Cardona made a comeback. He lined up Trick for a broski boot. He pulled out a Chelsea Green unprettier for a near fall. Williams responded by sending Cardona face first into the turnbuckle, hit a neck breaker. So Cardona, again, he made a comeback, and we had like a little run of offense here from him. Lil Yachty at this point. Sami Zayn got up on the apron because they were all out there to watch what was going on here. And Williams had challenged Sami Zayn to come fight him, so Sami got up on the apron. Lil Yachty tripped him up. He was all happy and proud of himself, but then as he's walking away, when he turned around, he ate a haluva kick. And so down goes Lil Yachty. In the ring, Williams avoided a roll-up, and then he finished off Cardona with the trick shot. So yeah, I mean, we got our one-on-one match at WrestleMania for the U.S. title, and I don't know what they're going to do, but it is ripe for a double turn. If anybody could really use a shakeup in their character right now, it is Sami Zayn. He's just in this weird place where people, they're going to want to boo him now, but for a while there, they didn't really know how to react. You know, he wasn't getting these overwhelmingly positive reactions either over the last few months. So I think you need to make a decision one way or the other. Do you want him to be a babyface or do you want him to be a heel? And I think right now, him being a heel is what makes sense. And Trick Williams in the long run being a babyface, I mean, he's already kind of a babyface. But I wouldn't change anything radically about his character, his personality. He shouldn't be going around kissing babies and sucking up to the fans or anything like that. Just sort of let him do his thing. And I think the fans will just continue to naturally, gravitate towards him. Just sort of stay the course. The story here really is Sami. He's the one undergoing this sort of transformation right now. But then it was time for the in-ring debut of Danhausen. He actually had a match against Kit Wilson. And they announced Danhausen as hailing from 1311 Mockingbird Lane, which I thought was very clever. If you're too young to know what that reference is all about, the Munsters used to live at 1313 Mockingbird Lane. The Munsters was a TV show from the 60s. No, I was not born in the 60s, but I did used to watch Munsters reruns. It was a very popular show there for a couple of years. I think it was only a couple of years too. I don't think it went on for like years and years. Maybe it was like 2 years. Anyway, they lived at 1313 Mockingbird Lane. So Danhausen apparently is neighbors with the Munsters, for those who get the reference. So Danhausen hits a drop kick, and then he hits a bridging suplex for a 2 count. The announcers play it up like, wow, we didn't know he had this sort of wrestling ability, even though, I mean, he's been here now for what, month and a half, and he is a wrestler, right? I mean, why else is he here? Has anybody asked the question up to this point of like who this guy is and why he's here? One would assume he's a wrestler. He knows some wrestling holds. So Miz was outside with his back turned. He was playing to the crowd. He thought that Kit Wilson was in control. Danhausen does a baseball slide out to the floor, and he sort of just sidles up to him and poses besides the Miz. And the Miz at first doesn't realize that it's Danhausen, and then when he does, he gets all freaked out. So they did the Shawn Michaels and Melina spot from Survivor Series. But then Wilson comes flying in from out of nowhere with this leaping, charging elbow that actually looked really good, and he wiped out Danhausen. Back inside, Wilson headed up top for a diving elbow, but before he could dive off, Danhausen sat up. He did an Undertaker sit-up, and then he looked up at Kit Wilson. He did the, whatever it is. I don't know what the fuck this is. I don't know what I'm doing. That thing he does, where he just goes like this. He cursed the entire show, but he cursed Kit Wilson, and as soon as he curses him, a burst of pyro, like a sparkler, shoots up. It almost shot up his ass. It shot up from the ring post where he was standing. It may have gone up his ass. And then he ends up crotching himself on the top rope. Miz got knocked off the apron by Danhausen, who finished Wilson off with a running boot for the win. But then when the match was over, the Miz was sizing him up. He was going to give him a skull-crushing finale. The lights go out. And when the lights come back on, Danhausen is in the process of running up the aisleway. So he was able to escape. This man is a magician. He has magical powers. Yeah, the joke's on Danhausen. SmackDown is already... Yeah. There's nothing he could do. You can't double curse SmackDown. SmackDown's already been cursed. Look, with the Danhausen stuff, I'm fine with there being comic relief. I get a kick out of his shtick. Like I said last week, with the referee, he got cursed and he couldn't count the 3, and like, it's one of those things where I wish the overall show was so much better than it is. And then you kind of have that one comic relief or 2 comic relief segments, and that's fine. But the show is so fucking atrocious. To go from all the stuff that I just described and everything I just talked about, into something like this, and you just sort of sit there and go, what are we doing here? I like Danhausen. He's on a terrible television show. And it's not like he's really, he's not meant to be the kind of person who is going to take an awful television show and make it better. That's not his role on the show. So it doesn't make the show better. But again, it's amusing enough. Doesn't bother me. Backstage, Jade Cargill's getting ready to come out for her main event, and she doesn't have her baddies with her, but she finds Michin laid out on the floor, and she goes, "What happened?" And Michin says, "Jade," or not Jade. She looked up at her and goes, "Well, Jade." And she goes, "Rhea." Rhea got to her. And so Jade says she knows what she has to do. So, in any event, Rhea Ripley is about to come out here. Actually, no, after, but what am I saying? We have to go to the announcers. Oh, this is great. You're going to love this. So they go to a break, and we have Joe Tessitore hyping that on SmackDown next week, we will have the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And I've told you, if it were up to me, Royce Keys would be the winner. And get ready. It's the MFTs against the Wyatt Six. I told you we weren't done with this. And we're not going to be done with it next week either. I'm not convinced that we're going to be done with it next week either, but they're going to have a street fight. They're going to have a Las Vegas street fight on the final SmackDown before WrestleMania. So if you thought we were done with this because they got the lantern back, we ain't done with it yet. We got to wrap this up with a street fight next week. Gee, I'm sorry I won't be here for that one. I won't be here for Dynamite or SmackDown next week. Oh, gee, man, I'm so bummed about that. What will I ever do? I may have to join a support group. But then, Joe and Wade are running down all of the matches for the WrestleMania Night 1 card and the WrestleMania Night 2 card. And they're going through the matches, and they come upon Demon Finn Balor, because they got to sell tickets, so they just went and told you it's going to be Demon Balor, one-on-one with Dominic Mysterio. And I'm listening to this, and they actually had Wade Barrett. I hope they had him say this, and he didn't just say this on his own. They had Wade Barrett say, it's the demon version, perhaps unbeatable. Unbeatable. Yes, unbeatable, except for the last 2 matches that we've seen the demon in that he lost. He lost to Roman Reigns, and he lost to Edge inside Hell in a Cell. So except for the 2 matches that he fucking lost, yes, I suppose you could say he's unbeatable. They just say shit on this show. Like they don't care. They don't give a shit. It's like, hey, if it sounds good, we'll just say it, even if it's not true, even if it doesn't make any sense, whatever. We got to make this guy sound intimidating. So we'll just call him unbeatable. Sure. Amazing. Jade Cargill in the main event, one-on-one against IYO SKY. God bless IYO. I mean, she tried. She tried to get the people into this. She pointed at herself, this is what IYO does, right? Right? This is what IYO does. I feel like doing that to myself when I'm watching this show. I'll leave my head in the wall. Just go back and forth like that. So she's doing that, and the fans love doing this. So, of course, everybody cheers. It's an easy way to get the people to pop. But there was no heat to be had here in this match. Jade, there was a nice little blue thunder bomb by Jade. Then she had IYO in position for a chokeslam. IYO turned it into a double stomp. Jade rolled outside. She got dropped by a moonsault from the apron by IYO. Jade then dropped her face first onto the steel steps with a wheelbarrow. And then came the pump kick and then jaded. Like me when this show is over. I'm very jaded. And she got the win. And of course she was going to because she's the WWE champion. And she's the one who has a WrestleMania match and not IYO SKY. So it made sense that Jade would win. But it was still sad though that, IYO ended up being used as a pawn in someone else's story. This is a woman who went out there last year as the defending world heavyweight champion and had the best match all weekend at WrestleMania. In my opinion, I think I had it on my list as my favorite match, my top match of 2025. And as of this moment, 8 days out from the show, she does not have a match. So instead, we'll use her to get this other story over. This other story, which has been horrendous, by the way. That hasn't been... it's still better than this Pat McAfee bullshit. But it's not like that story's been lighting the world on fire either. So she took the L here in this match. When it was over, Jade goes outside. She grabs a chair. And she brings the chair into the ring with her. And Rhea Ripley, she runs down to the ring and jumps inside. And now they're circling each other right around IYO's carcass, just laying in the middle of the ring. And Jade drops the chair out to the floor. Like Sting, when he would drop the baseball bat and then he would go beat up the NWO. She drops the chair and then she leaves. She goes outside. She sets the chair up. She opens the chair on the floor, but then she just walks away. And she heads down the aisle and she says, "I'll see you at WrestleMania." And that was it. Very anticlimactic ending to the show here, but they go off the air and I'm like, they went 3 minutes overtime, which is very unusual for SmackDown. SmackDown does not typically get an overrun, nor should it, because you have 3 hours. So what the hell do you need an overrun for? But they got a 3-minute overrun, and I'm just like, I'm looking at this, and especially what we got an overrun for. It's not like anything happened at the end. The last thing this 3-hour pile of shit needs is an extra 3 minutes. We don't need any extra time for this show. Fuck this show, and fuck anybody who had anything to do with producing it. Those are my thoughts on SmackDown tonight. Somehow they found a way to take an angle from last week and that horrible segment we had on the show last week, all the McAfee stuff, and they found a way to make it worse. I didn't think that was possible. As bad as last week was, I didn't think it was possible, but they keep proving me wrong every single week. They somehow found a way to make it worse, because this dragged on even longer. And this, unlike last week, where McAfee came out sort of towards the end of the segment, like he was the big reveal, he was the big surprise. This week, it was the Pat McAfee show. From the moment he strolled into the building in the back and had his confrontation with Jelly Roll, to the moment he went out there in the ring and had his confrontation with Cody Rhodes, to the moment he left the building and got in his car and called everybody marks and then drove off. It was the Pat McAfee show through and through. And, he's out there, using all of the insider terms and doing the work shoot stuff and talking about Punk, who has nothing to do with this fucking match. He's half the fucking promo is cut on CM Punk. Like they're out there shooting on each other. How is that supposed to get me excited for Cody Rhodes against Randy Orton? Like, shouldn't that be the goal here? So this week was far worse in terms of what they did, far worse and far more counterproductive than even what they did last week. But never forget that what we have here is a main event where they are telling you that everything sucks. Everyone sucks except Randy Orton. Everyone sucks. Everything sucks. And the big surprise that Pat McAfee hyped up for the last few days was that he got the sponsor of the show to pay a portion of people's ticket prices for the next few days. That was the big surprise. Okay. This show sucks. What did you think of SmackDown from San Jose? 10% thumbs up. 90% went for the shit emoji. I thought about putting it for the thumbs up too. That way you'd have no choice but to pick the poop emoji. The poop emoji is actually just the perfect representation of this show. But I think that poll says it all. How did we get to this point? Like, how did it get so bad? How does this show get so bad? It's just mind-boggling. People in the chat laughing at the 10%. Who were the 10%? Well, look, I mean, hey, some people have a thing. I mean, they like to have their balls in a vice. I said this the other week. They like to have hot wax poured on their fucking nuts. I mean, look, there's people out there to each their own. You got a lot of masochistic people out there. That's the only way to explain it. Do you think McAfee is going to mention the cage match rating? Oh, that was great too last week when he alluded to the cage match rating for SmackDown, when SmackDown got its worst ever rating on cagematch.net. I never want to hear anybody make fun of Tony Khan ever again for bringing up cage match after we had Pat McAfee go on television last week and allude to a cage match rating. At first, when he first made that comment last week, I thought he was talking about one of the recent television ratings, but when I had checked, that's actually not true. SmackDown did not get its lowest television rating recently, but it did get its lowest cage match rating, and then I realized this is even worse than I thought. Death Scythe says buy or sell on which TV match was better and deserved to have a proper program. John Cena versus Jeff Hardy on the June 2nd, 2008 episode of Raw, or CM Punk against AJ Styles on the January 26th, 2026 episode of Raw. Punk and AJ, they should have had a proper PLE match. But again, you know, AJ was winding down, and unfortunately, there just wasn't enough time to do it. What was that, his second to last match? That's what happens when you wait. Sometimes you run out of time, unfortunately. Super Pony. Kenny Omega was right. The main event of WrestleMania next year will be Mr. Beast against ISHO Speed. Hashtag fuck TKO. Hashtag ruthless depression. Chicago for MBK. Pat and Jelly squaring off in WWE. What a joke. It's amazing. And there are people that'll lap it up. That's your main event feud. And people will lap it up. Death Scythe says, on Monday, Roman should go full Jason Voorhees on Punk, like Rock did to Cody in 2024, because there's no way he can come back at Punk on the mic. I think that you're disrespecting Jason Voorhees when you say that. Let's not downplay how brutal Jason could be. A working man says, the finger poke of doom was better than this. Yes. You know why? Because it was quick. It's like ripping off a Band-Aid. At least it was quick. This is like a prolonged death. Chicago for MBK. It's getting worse every week. WTF. I know, brother. Chaotic says, rip this ish apart. And fans boycott Mania. Well, they're not going to boycott Mania. Not if they paid already for their ticket, they're not going to. Can only imagine what they paid for that ticket. They're going to WrestleMania. That ain't going to change. Super Pony. What's going on, brother? Says they had Pat hold the fucking title up, not the guy challenging for it on the biggest show of the year. What the fuck is happening? I think Pat McAfee is going to become WWE champion soon. Chicago for MBK. Is this the worst WrestleMania build ever? For a match, if it isn't, it's definitely top 3. Absolutely. Especially for a match of this importance. A main event level match? Yes. MacTub. Triple H still deserves most of the blame, not TKO. No, TKO deserves blame as well. You can blame them both. We're not excusing TKO. Super Pony, Ari Emanuel is evil. Yes. Prince Vegeta says, as it comes to celebrities in the Cody Randy feud, as Leon says in one of the greatest games of all time, Resident Evil 4, no thanks, bro. Is that like his signature quote? No thanks, bro. Is that what Vince Russo says when he gets a call from a telemarketer? No thanks, bro. We got Josh Stockton, Mullet Man. Get that clown McAfee off of TV. I haven't watched the weekly shows for years. I can't stomach them, so I just watch clips on YouTube. First time ever I won't be tuning into WrestleMania. Thank you, Solomonster. You are doing God's work. It's getting harder and harder, Josh. Metal Ghost Zero. That was the worst promo I've ever seen. Cody could not save it. It just kept going. I quit. I don't care anymore. Pat told us not to watch Night 2. Why even watch any of it? Solo, you rock. I don't blame you, man. I mean, there's just a lot of people who are very disillusioned with the product overall, but especially, you know, the way they've sabotaged this match. And whoever you want to blame for it, I don't really give a shit who you blame, but this is happening. This is a thing that's happening in real time, and we're watching it play out, and it's just very sad that they have ruined one of the WrestleMania main events. And I feel like even if they shot some kind of major angle at the show, let's just throw the name out there, The Rock. Let's just say The Rock, right, shows up at the end of WrestleMania Night 1, right? And everybody's going to cream themselves and everybody, oh my God, the final boss is back. Like, at this point, like, even that can't save this. Like, that can't save this. What would that even accomplish? Because there are still some people who, and we heard it on commentary tonight, where they were kind of alluding to, or maybe Nick was it Wade Barrett? Wade Barrett made a comment about how there's some sort of like invisible shield around Pat McAfee, like, because it was ruled that nobody could put their hands on him tonight. Like, where is that coming from? And assuming Ari Emanuel is not becoming an on-air character, which fuck right off with that, what could that be leading to, right? So people naturally think The Rock, because he's very tight with McAfee. He's on the board. He's got history with Cody. Storyline-wise, it would actually make a lot of sense. I don't see what that even accomplishes. Like, that can't even save this at this point. Because we know he's not going to be around. He's not going to be a focal point of the television show the way that McAfee and Jelly Roll have been. You know, the guy's got at least 2 movies coming up to film, including a Martin Scorsese movie. What the fuck do you think he's coming back and actually doing if The Rock shows up? Like, really, just take a second and stop and think about what you're even saying. The people who I still hear, rock, rock, rock. Like, what do you think that actually looks like? Josh Stockton says, do you think the product would be better with Paul Heyman as head of creative, or is WWE a lost cause under TKO regardless? Much love from Newcastle, UK. I mean, I think Heyman is, he's part of the brain trust there, so I'm sure he contributes ideas. If you watch Unreal, he's in the writer's room. I mean, he's contributing. If he was the head of creative, I think things would, in some cases, probably be better, and he would have his people that he would want to push. I think Carmelo Hayes would have a WrestleMania match this year, but he would have to answer to the same masters that Levesque does. Like, and if TKO is going to meddle in creative, it doesn't matter who's running creative. It could be Levesque, it could be Bruce, it could be Paul Heyman, it could be Road Dogg, it could be you, it could be me. It doesn't matter. That wouldn't even make a difference. Death Scythe. After WrestleMania 42, they should move Gunther, LA Knight, Obafemi, and even Punk to SmackDown because the wrestling gods know this show can use them more than Raw. Well, you can't move all of them. You have Royce Keys, they debuted him on SmackDown. Obafemi is on Raw. I would not have them on the same brand. And you can't move all those guys all at once from one brand to the other. And who do you move to Raw? Warm Corn with a pair of super chats. Jelly Roll with Cody. Who's next? Apple Fritter Man. Pat McAfee looks like a right-wing Johnny Bravo. He doesn't have the Johnny Bravo hair. Hey, Pepper Saint. Welcome to the channel. You picked a hell of a night to join. Deathside says, the Cody-Randy feud should have been Randy trying to make a hat out of Cody's entrails and terrorizing his family, not having PC Principle as his wingman. Yeah, I mean, it's basically Cody Rhodes against Pat McAfee with Randy Orton in his corner. That's the feud now. Think of how long we spent watching Pat McAfee in the ring tonight as compared to how long we spent watching Randy Orton on this show. And you're going to have people defending this and saying this is great. This is great television. This is the way it should be. That's why the product is in the shape that it's in, because people lap this shit up. They're part of the problem. They actually have caused this to some degree. They bear some of the responsibility when we see bullshit like this. Jeremy Thunderstrikes, Cody and Punk need to chokeslam Pat off the Tron. Dried Chicken says, here's a new nickname for Pat McAfee, Duke Nukem. He nukes some bombs on the mic. Josh says, Fiend. Involved in the main event of WrestleMania 41. Pat McAfee involved in the main event of WrestleMania 42. WrestleMania 43 in Saudi. What next? I don't want to know. I'm kind of scared, frankly. I'm afraid to ask. Can you imagine what that reveal is going to be? Venom Kitetsu. Hope your stresses are tamed and your worries are minimal. I feel like all escapism has turned on me except retro games. Thanks for what you do. Well, if you played retro games tonight instead of watching SmackDown, you made the right choice. Deathside says, imagine if we got CM Punk against Stone Cold and The Rock against either Cody or Roman at WrestleMania 43. I would not trust Triple H and TKO to projectile vomit, or not to, on the builds. Stone Cold against CM Punk. How old would Austin be next year? 61, 62? I guess Sting was what, 64 when he had his last match? Yeah, I think the time for Punk and Austin passed about a decade ago. There was a moment in time where it would have made sense to do it, 2013, right? Somewhere around there, and they didn't do it. We missed out. Promos would have been great. Promos would have been fire. He says, sorry, I meant to say not projectile vomit. I swear I haven't been drinking. Well, if you were drinking during the show tonight, I wouldn't blame you. It might make it more tolerable. Only Hoagie felt guilty letting you continue to watch this Drek without giving you something. Thank you for your sacrifice, Solomon. Well, thank you for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that. Only Hoagie. Aaron says those main event ads were great. Less match, please. Yes, I agree. I think those main event advertisements were great. I too would like less action. I want less action and more commercials on my wrestling shows. QB, I wonder if Cody now regrets not taking the match with Reigns at WrestleMania. Kung Fu Joseph says, oh God, I hope this doesn't get turned into a TKO against WWE storyline. You mean you're not excited? You're not excited by TKO being incorporated into the story here? Ragnarok. Io went from world champion to damsel in distress. Another jelly roll speech. Lil Yachty, terrible ad-libs, and McAfee cutting a terrible promo. Yes, welcome to SmackDown. Welcome to SmackDown. He says, a blunt and a gummy couldn't make this good for me. Happy Friday, brother, but this show is poop from an ass and shit from a butt. Thank God for Oba versus Brock. Yeah, somehow, despite all of this awful television and awful build for some of these matches, they managed not to fuck up Oba and Brock. Like, that has been flawless, what they've done. The one thing they've managed not to fuck up here. Chicago for MBK, WWE and TKO should feel embarrassed, but they won't. No, TKO won't. I mean, to them, this is what they wanted. They're getting what they want. Give me back shots, Solomonster. Rio, talk about Rhea and Io, damaged Io more than it helped her. I just think it went on for too long. Nick Grosso with the 1999. First, the Io and Asuka match was up in the air because of an injury to Nikki Bella. Now it's because of time constraints. Which is it? I really think they don't want to do the match and they are looking for an excuse not to. Well, they have 7 matches on night 1 and they have 6 on night 2. But remember, they have the Hall of Famers that they trot out on stage. I figure they'll do that on night 2. So is that going to leave time for a match? It's two nights. Like, there should be plenty of time. But I have a funny feeling that they may end up holding it off until Backlash. That's my fear. Not that we have to wait very long. I mean, it's like 2.5 weeks later, but still, I mean, that's... If Io and Asuka don't have their match on that show, I mean, that's just... You have 2 fucking nights, dude. You have 6 matches on night 2. You have 2 nights. You can't find room for IYO SKY versus Asuka on that show. Like, it's pathetic. It's just pathetic. Hopefully we'll get the announcement of the match on Monday. I'm still holding out hope. Alex says, at this point, it's more entertaining to watch the commercials than the actual show. This show was horrid from start to finish. Brandon Proctor with the 12. That's the learning tree. I went to a local wrestling show tonight. Safe to say it was better than SmackDown. Oh, I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was. I'm sure it didn't offend you. Daniel, The Miz versus Cena had better build than Cody versus Randy. You know what? To say nothing of the match itself, you're probably right. You're probably right. Warm Corn says, you know it sucked when Solo starts with, you know... Yeah. Alexander says, Julia not getting a match at Mania is blasphemy. Well, I mean, look, that's what happens when you're not over. She's not over on the show, and so she's not a priority. She was going out there and people were jumping up and down or they were yeeting or whatever. I mean, she'd have a role on the show, but she's not, and so she's just not a priority. Even though she has a title, she's not a priority for them. You would hope on the Italy PLE next month that she would at least have a match. I'm not even sure about that. Retro KOH, imagine making Randy Orton a background player in his WrestleMania main event program. WWE is at early 99 WCW levels. I don't know about 2000, not yet anyway. Oh, it's in that territory, brother. It may not be there yet, but it's definitely hanging around the edge of the territory there. We got the Uffman. Punk to announce buy one, get 4 free on Monday. You know, I'm kind of half expecting them starting on Monday to have like their key guys going out there saying, hey, you buy a ticket between now and tomorrow night, you know, we'll pay you a visit at your house. We'll come hang out and have dinner with you one night. Please, please buy tickets. Please. Buy one, get 6 free. They're going to paper the shit out of those shows. It's going to be WrestleMania 8 all over again. They had 62,000 people at the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis. I think the paid number was like 47,000. So it looked good. It looked full. Like if you watch that WrestleMania. But like business in 92, at least domestically, was not great. So it was kind of shocking to see that many people in the building, but they papered the shit out of that show. I mean, they must have been hot as fuck in the UK that year to get 80,000 people legit in Wembley Stadium. That's impressive. But those Brits, man, those UK fans, you guys love your wrestling. The Working Man, this product is pure torture at this point to try to watch. Drizzling Shits is putting it far too nicely. Only match I care about is Brock and Obafemi. Prince Vegeta with a $4.99. If you leave me, IYO SKY, I'm good. That was Triple H. Yes, he did make that comment on Unreal. He was saying that, like, if God forbid there was ever some sort of accident and the roster got wiped out, but you told him that you have IYO SKY, he said I'd be okay. If I knew I had IYO, I knew I would be okay. And he says here, Triple H said this while leaving her off the WrestleMania card and feeding her to the most unimpressive woman on the roster. I don't know. I don't know what you want me to tell you. It's crazy. The Sheltered Kid. Was what you saw tonight more embarrassing than AEW promoting CM Punk and Jack Perry's brawl? I still think that's my favorite show from you. You were funny as fuck. Oh, that was also pathetic. That was a pure rating stunt. I think he even admitted to it. Because they did pop a bit, like they haven't had a rating that large since that show. I think they did like 800,000 viewers that night or something. So yeah, I mean that was very embarrassing. But to me, this is worse. This is far worse because, again, you're going out there and actively telling people how much, like, you're shitting on your own product, and you're begging people to buy tickets. Like, it doesn't get any worse than that. It doesn't get any more pathetic than that. Like, pathetic is the first word that came to mind. I'm watching this play out in front of my eyes. I go, this is sad on a level I haven't seen before. Deathside says, Cody and Randy is giving me Triple H Y2J at WrestleMania 18 vibes. Yeah, that's not a spot you want to be in. Or Triple H and Randy Orton at WrestleMania 25. Having to go on after that Shawn Michaels Undertaker match. The Working Man, 25% off hardly puts a dent in these prices, LOL. No, it really doesn't. It really doesn't. But I guess that's all that Ram trucks can afford. Deathside, can we please get Cody, Drew, Randy, and Jacob for the WWE title? A match I have been pitching for months instead of Cody and Jelly against Randy and Mag. Dude, we could have gotten that 4-way at WrestleMania. That could have been the WrestleMania match. Jonathan with the $2. Rock can't even save the WWE title match, can he? No. No, he can't. San Juan Wolf with a 1999. Once again, I missed SmackDown, and based on the reviews, I'm not even mad. Here is 1999 to compensate you for watching that. I should be compensated by WWE. I feel like when I watch some of these shows, and I feel like I should be compensated for my time that I can never get back. Anyway, much love from Florida. Thank you, San Juan Wolf. I appreciate that. Eric Newton says, watching this garbage makes me realize I never understood how good we had it during the Monday Night Wars. I was more of a WCW guy at the time, but I would switch back and forth, and now we get this garbage. It's sad. Yeah, and they go on television and they still glorify it. You literally had Cody Rhodes go out there tonight and basically tell Pat McAfee, dude, you're talking about an era in the Monday Night Wars that's 30 years ago. Randy Orton was a fucking kid in high school. Because that's what he did last week. He starts glorifying and glamorizing the Monday Night War era, Austin and Rock and the Attitude Era. It still gets talked about to this day. I don't hear people going on television and talking about, oh man, the Bruno era, or the Backlund era. Or even the Golden Era. They always talk about the Monday Night Wars and the Attitude Era and how much better it was, and we gotta restore that feeling. We gotta bring wrestling back to the way it was. Why don't you just come right out and tell your fans that your product fucking sucks and you wish you could take it back to the way it was? That's basically what they're saying. Toya ain't nice. I love Angry Solo. Well, I'm glad someone was entertained tonight. Alexander, even excluding McAfee, the whole babyface versus heel dynamic with Cody and Randy is ass backwards. Randy was getting the cheers and Cody was getting booed. And you know what? If that's the way it was going to be, then that was fine because the fans wanted to see Randy Orton win number 15 and they were getting fatigued of Cody. And it would have made for a very interesting, and it still might, but it would have made for a very interesting dynamic at WrestleMania for the actual match. But you still would have had the focus kept on the story, right? But then it got hijacked. And now it's not about Cody and Randy anymore. Because you know that McAfee's going to be there and Jelly Roll is going to be there. And so now it's just turned into like, okay, well, when are they going to get involved? And what are they going to do? And how are they going to factor into the finish? Like, they've ruined it. Like, they've ruined the whole premise of the match has been completely corrupted now. Alexander, thank you, brother, again for the $4.99. He says, Jeremy does, so Aldis put the truck keys back in the truck. Dude, I wasn't even paying attention to what he did with the keys. I can tell you what they should do with those keys. The Oracle. Would Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Rock let this happen to them? Honestly, Rock maybe. Austin, as protective as Hogan and Austin were of their creative and their characters, no, I think they would pitch a fit. I think for first of all, Hogan would always have creative control, so the answer is no. It depends what role he's in, though. Maybe if he was in the Orton role, and then Pat McAfee could be to him what Dennis Rodman was at one time. But no, like so much of the bullshit that we see and hear about now, like no, some of these guys, there's no way they would have tolerated this shit. Yeah, Austin literally walked out when he didn't like creative. Golden Boy, did you see Damian Priest's interview? A lot of wrestlers were upset with the whole McAfee involvement. I sent you the link. He also said he'll probably get in trouble for saying it. Do you think it's a shoot? Me personally, I think that they are legitimately upset about what's going on. Those reports, I think, are 100% true. I think that there are a lot of people in the locker room who are very upset about this. But when you hear these comments being made publicly in interviews, that's where I tend to like, okay, yeah, they're being told to say some of these things, I think, just to make it feel more real. So when I did hear those comments, I saw the comments that he made, and yeah, I just the vibe I get is that was planned that way. But he may feel that way legitimately. Retro says the awful WrestleMania 32 tug of war between Brock and Roman was a better build than this. I mentioned that one before. Jeremy Rose. They didn't even balance the WrestleMania nights. Sunday is stacked. Saturday is whack. Hot take, Triple H won't be booking WrestleMania 43. Nah, he will. He'll still be here. A year from now, he'll still be here. Beyond that, that's a lot dicier. Andrew Lima with a $9.99. Years ago, I brought up that my grandpa died and Raw was still the worst thing to happen to me that week. Dude, that was a legendary super chat. I still remember that one. I actually brought that up recently. I don't remember why, but I brought that one up recently. He says, tonight his ghost came to me and told me to stop watching wrestling. Well, I mean, if Grandpa's ghost comes and tells you that SmackDown is so horrendous that you should stop watching, then you have to stop watching. But don't stop watching me, though. Just stop watching SmackDown. Listen to Grandpa. And leave it to me. Alexander Tiffy was on the WrestleMania promos and is not on the PLE. Yeah, she has no match at WrestleMania. Death Scythe, to try to make you feel better, I recommend the Overlord anime. It's really good, and my favorite character is Evil Eye. In fact, I have her on my bed sheets. Well, have her on your bed sheets, or do you have her in your bed sheets? Because that would be pretty cool. Super Pony. They never learn and they don't care. No, they don't. Misfit Wrestling Podcast with a 10. WWE just posted a video package on Twitter about the tag titles featuring the Bellas indicating Nikki is cleared. Good. I'm happy for her. Now we got to get IYO SKY her fucking match with Asuka on night 2. Mystic J, Julia not being a WrestleMania may be a blessing in disguise. It's bad enough she gets no reaction on SmackDown. Imagine her getting no reaction at Mania. That's why I said before, she has not gotten over. And I don't think she's been helped by her booking and positioning on the show, even though she's got the US title. But the reality is she's not over. She's just not. Deathside says, let me rephrase that. My duvet is a picture of Evil Eye. Sorry, I'm having a bad night. I've got a cold and SmackDown did not make me feel any better. Hey, brother. I mean, you can have whatever bed sheets you want to have. When I was a little kid, I used to have little Ninja Turtles on my bed sheets. That was the shit back then. Colin says, if there's any reason for WrestleMania to go back to one night, it is definitely this year's event. Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, WrestleMania this year, this did not need to be a 2-night show. I 100% agree. Mike with a $10 super chat. The fact that Carmelo and Dragunov carried that show pretty much all of 2025 and they're not on the show, but McAfee is, makes me want to puke. Dynasty is going to be better than WrestleMania. Book it. Dynasty on paper is a very strong card. And I will be watching it, but I'm not going live for that because it ends too damn late. And I got a big week coming up. I'm traveling. I'm not doing it. So just be aware of that. No live Dynasty review on Sunday night. I'm going to save it for the Uncrowned Wrestling show on Tuesday. It'll be an exclusive. Larry Jester ranked these errors 4-1. Now, COVID, guest host, and 95. I don't know. COVID is 4. COVID will always be the worst because wrestling in front of nobody is just awful. And I have no interest or desire to go back. To me, it has no replay value whatsoever, except maybe like the Boneyard match or some of the cinematic stuff. COVID is automatically number 4. But man, the guest host era was It was bad. The guest host era was very bad. But I'm going to go COVID, this era, guest host, and I'm going to put 95 at number 1. Boots. Thank you for the 10. Hope to see Boots around for our big WrestleMania weekend next week. Dr. Lawrence Jacoby. We got a doctor in the house. Doctor, I'm not feeling good after this show tonight. What should I do? Says, I'm really hoping for Mania to be a total disaster. Hopefully the worst in history. As a casual viewer, these times where everyone is losing their minds over the horrible product are the most fun. Maybe not for my mental health, but yes. I think you're onto something there. Justin with a $9.99. Could you see Oba losing to Brock at Mania, but Gunther wins at SummerSlam against Brock, and later Oba beats Gunther to gain the momentum from him? Also, who is your early pick for King of the Ring? Do we even know if they're doing King of the Ring this year? I don't even know if they're doing it. I haven't really thought about King of the Ring, honestly. I don't really have an early pick. I'd have to first think about it. I could see Trick Williams, potentially. I could see that. But I'd have to give that some thought. As far as your first idea, it's not a bad idea, right? Because the question is, after all these retirement, or not retirements, but like these final matches that they have gifted to Gunther, right? We already knew John Cena was retiring, but in his retirement match, he loses to Gunther. Goldberg loses to Gunther. AJ Styles loses to Gunther. What's the end game here, right? Who beats Gunther and gets the rub? Oba would be a great candidate. I'd rather Oba beat Brock, but if Brock is winding down, let's say in Minneapolis, they're not going to want Brock to lose his last 2 matches. It's not going to happen. So if he really is wrestling, let's say his last match for now at SummerSlam, then I think he's almost definitely beating Oba at WrestleMania. And Oba may not get that win back then. If Brock then goes on to lose to Gunther and he disappears, at that point, Oba would almost have to beat Gunther. I think he'd be the right guy for it. Because if not him, then who? If he doesn't get the win over Brock, I think he has to beat Gunther. Maybe Oba beats Gunther in the King of the Ring final? I don't know, because if you win King of the Ring, you get a WWE Championship match, don't you? Or World Heavyweight title, I guess, if he's on Raw. So I don't know if they want him challenging for the championship that soon. Yeah, I think people need to be very much prepared for the likelihood of Brock Lesnar getting the win on ESPN. I wouldn't do it, but I think there's a very real possibility. But we have, ladies and gentlemen, Thimby. Thimby is with us with a $50 super chat. Thimby is our King of the Ring. We just crowned our King of the Ring. King Thimby with a $50 super sticker. Look at this. It's a nice sticker. Thank you, brother. EJ Slemp, I hate Pat McAfee. He's the worst. Changing gears, I hated Elizabeth in the NWO. With Savage there, would Sherry have been a better fit with him? Sherry would have been a great fit in anything. Sherry was fantastic. Yeah, I never really liked Liz in the NWO. Never really made sense to me. I agree. DJ. Greetings from Disneyland, Solo. Drinking my $12 water, resting my legs, and catching up on your stream. Well, don't let this awful SmackDown ruin your Disneyland experience. I'd be a lot happier, too, if I was at Disneyland right now. The Working Man. I'd rather relive David Arquette winning the WCW title again over this shit. Be careful what you wish for. Dr. Lawrence Jacoby. TKO intervened because the show is shit and making no money. They didn't help, but it was never their job to make good TV. I'm sure they wish they could stay out of it. Fire Triple. Oh, no, I disagree. No, they're not doing this to try to save the show. They're doing this because they're trying to move more tickets to a show that they thought they would be selling as much as they did last year, and they're not. So they're trying to move tickets. And again, Pat McAfee was chosen because Ari Emanuel has ulterior motives involved here beyond just WWE business. And he's trying to kind of like double dip in a way, right? WWE owns it, but he just took Pat McAfee on as a client in the last 2 months. That's not a coincidence. Says very little to do with them going, boy, you know, you got to save WWE. And they are making money. Can't say they're not making money. They are making money. They're just not making as much money. Hey, Bada Bing and Sugar Asian have joined the channel. What a married couple that would be, huh? Maybe we can get The Miz to marry you two. Apparently The Miz is an ordained minister now, whatever. I think he's doing marriage ceremonies in Vegas this week. The Working Man. I'd rather rewatch Cody as Stardust at this point. Nothing about current Cody is authentic to me. He's so phony. He will make a great senator one day. He will. He will. He does seem like he has a future in politics. If you've heard of the Cody lies, that right there tells you he's a perfect fit for politics. Spartan Sprinkles with a 5. I enjoy McAfee's humor / shtick. I am the 0.001% who enjoys this. Should have been saved for after a Cody win in Mania, though. Randy snaps and brings in Pat. Under no circumstances should this have been done as part of this WrestleMania build. Just absolutely awful. The Working Man next, Stallone. It's a lot of laughing emojis there. Gets funnier every time it's brought. Oh, it's fucking hilarious. It's absolutely. I think it was Bloomberg when the report initially came out that mentioned that. People have been told he sees him as, or he's trying to get him to be the next Stallone. It actually is very, very funny. I'm watching him out there tonight. I go, oh, this guy's a master thespian. Yeah, because when I see that, that's the first thing I think of is the next Sylvester Stallone. Aaron loves wrestling. Thank God for AEW, New Japan, and House of Glory. See, even Aaron, who legitimately has this great love for all wrestling, is not attempting to defend this shit because even he has his limits and he realizes that this is terrible trash. Thank you, Aaron. Johnny Francesi. Considering how desperate they sound for ticket sales, I'm expecting a Craigslist ad for seat fillers and a GoFundMe by early next week. Tragic stuff. How far they have fallen. Devin from NJ2000, does Solo agree with JD's guarantee that Triple H will be out from running creative within the next 18 months? I don't know about 18 months, but I do think that he will be on the hot seat sooner than later. Like a year, someone said before, a year from now, WrestleMania is Saudi. I think he'll still be in that chair. 2 years from now, that's a lot harder to say. I think that his future is tenuous. Long-term future is tenuous at best. Super Pony, I will always have Sammy's back. People who don't appreciate him don't like pro wrestling. Dude, he got bland. He got bland. People, they don't want bland. That's also part of the reason why they're kind of getting Cody fatigue, or they're turning on Cody. You got to know when to change it up. And Cody, or Sami rather, didn't really have a great story up until recently. At least now this stuff is kind of interesting. Like, where are they going to go with it? He was just too bland and he had no real direction. And so I'm not really shocked by people's reaction. Like, there was nothing to really cheer for. It was kind of boring. And Daniel Bryan wasn't totally wrong years ago when he said the fans are fickle. They are. Fans are fickle. Mike says, have Oba beat Brock, Trick beat Sami, and Javon winning the Intercontinental title in the ladder match. Let's start the future now. It's fine with me. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. Actually, I hate to end Penta's reign, though, this soon. Maybe I wouldn't take it off Penta yet. But the other two, I'm fine with the other two. Dead Kirby 22. Are they trying to turn Pat into Jimmy Hart? Pat is no Jimmy Hart. He is no Jimmy Hart. He is no Bobby Heenan. Mike says Cardona was the king of the indies for how many years? Now he is a jobber again in the WWE. The bro never should have come back. Dude, he always wanted to go back to WWE. Like, that was always the goal, was to build himself up so he can get back to WWE. He's right where he wants to be. Now, do I think that he wishes that they were actually pushing him in a meaningful way? Yes. But don't get it twisted. Like, he went back there for a reason, because he always wanted to go back there. And he got his wish. He got to go back, and he's using his real name, and he works, on the same brand as his wife. I don't know that he's unhappy with that. He knew what he was getting into when he went back. Dead Kirby says Paul is sabotaging Randy like he did with Cena. So he's just like secretly, well, I guess not so secretly, sabotaging all of his old rivals one by one. Who's next? Who's left? Who's left on the roster that he would have feuded with back when he was active? I don't know. Punk? I guess Punk is going to be next. I think Punk better watch out. We got Electric Feel with a $10 super chat. I thought Stephanie was full of shit at first, but she was right. This version of Randy is, quote, diabolical. So much so, he is giving us 1+ months of Pat McAfee. Absolutely diabolical. Yeah, we just didn't know what she meant by that, but I think it's becoming clearer by the week. This is pretty diabolical. George with a $4.99. Only thing that could salvage this is Sylvester Stallone literally coming out and TKOing Pat McAfee in the middle of the ring. Pun intended. More celebrities. Are you arguing for more celebrities on this show now? We're going to go to WrestleMania. We're going to have Lil Yachty show up in Trick Williams' corner. We're going to have ISHO Speed wrestling in the opening match of night one. We're going to have Pat McAfee and Jelly Roll in the respective corners of Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton at WrestleMania until Sylvester Stallone runs out and he drops Pat McAfee with a TKO in the middle of the ring, only for Tom Brady to then make a special surprise appearance, call them cute, and then kick them in the dick and run away. And that is how WrestleMania will go off the air. The Working Man. The bloodbath missing Kevin Nash on Thunder was better than this than this episode of SmackDown. Dude, at least that was entertaining. That was funny as fuck. He's just casually standing there waiting for the bloodbath to come down, and then it's just like, missed him by about 5 or 6 feet. That was great. George says, why do you think Raw is so much more bearable other than the length? I mean, I wish I had a good answer for you. I really don't. It is half an hour shorter, but there's also different writers on the show and different I don't know, just a different vision, no pun intended, a different vision that they have for the show. I don't know. It's still the same basic team though. So I'm not sure why that is. Diego Vasquez, sorry, I'd rather watch Sabrina Carpenter at Coachella. So would I. The Working Man says Finger Poke of Doom was better than this. Maze the Great with a 5. With how bad these shows have been and will continue to be, I can't help but think that the SmackDown post-show review days might be numbered. I mean, they keep up with shows like this. Would you blame me? No, we got a soldier on here. I have to be here because as people fall off of SmackDown, they're going to want to know what happened. So I need to be here to fill them in on all the details. Silver Tower. What's going on, Silver Tower? I don't have to worry about SmackDown being awful. Going to the AEW pay-per-view this weekend with my family. Looking forward to. Well, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoy the show. Let me know how the live experience ends up. Again, I'm not going to be live for it on Sunday night, but I'll be reviewing it on Tuesday on Uncrowned. That'll be the last show. Well, actually, no, that'll be the last show that I do before I leave for Vegas on Wednesday. But we are doing Tuesday Night Titans on Tuesday night, and then I fly out the next morning. Golden Boy. So do the people who had tickets get a discount? It's a slap to their face. Oh, they get no discount. Ram Trucks has drawn a line in the sand. You ain't getting no discount if you already bought your tickets. You could sell your ticket and then buy a new one in the next few days and get 25% off. That's the best you could hope for. The Working Man, Roman calling Punk old was hilariously dumb as he's also 40. Yay, 2 40-somethings in the main event. Fuck this drizzling shit. 2 40-somethings in the main event. Which night are you talking about? I mean, that could apply to either night. Jarrett Moose Rodriguez. Random question. I was a child and had just begun watching around the time Punk won the World Heavyweight title for the first time. Was the reaction to his OG reign really that lukewarm overall? Kinda, yeah. I mean, I don't remember his OG run. It didn't last too long, right? It only lasted 3-4 months? And that would have been 2008. It was not the same CM Punk that we would see a few years later, so yeah, I mean, it was pretty lukewarm. It was nothing overwhelming. I mean, if it was, he would have been champion for longer, so it was not a terribly memorable run. In fact, from what I can remember, I don't even think he got beat for the belt. I think he got taken out in a backstage segment, right? And they put the belt up in that stupid scramble match. I think that Chris Jericho won. Aaron says, would you keep Ethan Page and Ricky Saints as a team on the main roster? And what are your thoughts on the Blake Monroe Vanity Project faction? I think their characters go hand in hand. I think it's probably a good combo, but Blake should be on the main roster. I don't know why she's still hanging around in NXT. I don't get it. As far as Ethan and Ricky, I wouldn't mind them being a team. I don't think their value is in being a tag team, though. If you want to introduce them that way, I guess that'd be fine, especially if they were part of the same, let's say, faction with a couple of other people. I mean, I wouldn't mind it. DeQuint with a $5 super chat. Kayfabe-wise, why would Gunther go through the trouble of fighting Seth to reach Brock instead of just answering the open challenge first? Shh. You're making too much sense now. You can't be asking questions like that. We got Debo Yodi Roy. I know I butchered that one. I think if this bullshit goes on, and the crowd reaction understandably continues to remain lukewarm at best, TKO will eventually make Triple H a scapegoat and fire him. I wonder who they would replace him with. I mean, there may be somebody on an interim basis from the current team, like a Heyman or a Bruce Pritchard, but I think, and I've talked about this before, you know, Rock being on the board and Brian Gewirtz being his guy. Brian Gewirtz was the head writer for Monday Night Raw for years and years. And I think if they needed a permanent replacement for Levesque, if he was removed or if something happened, would not at all be shocked to see Brian Gewirtz in that spot. And then Rock would have his guy. He would have his guy installed as the head of the creative team. Mike says, your opinion of the worst WrestleMania match of all time. Mine is Uncle Elmer against Adrian Adonis at WrestleMania 2. Or Brett versus Vince or WrestleMania 26. Horrible. Yeah, that was just sad. But look, I'm glad Brett got his closure, I guess. He got that one more WrestleMania match, but yeah, it was bad. Uncle Elmer against Adrian Adonis. I mean, I could see where you would think that would be the worst WrestleMania match of all time, but there's a lot to choose from, dude. There were a lot of really terrible undercard matches in those early years of WrestleMania, so I don't even remember them all. I think more in terms of the WrestleMania main events. So in terms of WrestleMania main events, I think of John Cena and The Miz. I think of John Cena and Cody Rhodes. In terms of just the worst WrestleMania match of all time, I mean, Brett and Vince would be up there. You know, there was another match that Brett had, and there he is. He heard we were talking about him. He just popped up on screen. That was me, by the way. The guy next to him was me watching SmackDown tonight. That guy in the electric chair. Brett had a horrible match with Bob Backlund at WrestleMania 11. I think Brett has even said it's his worst WrestleMania match of all the WrestleMania matches he ever had. Jeremy says, so they are going to take the hit and announce 45,000 both nights, or fudge it up and announce higher numbers than last year. 60K in the house both nights. I don't think they're going to fudge it by that much. They're definitely going to fudge it, though. They'll probably announce in the range of 50K for both nights. They ain't getting 50K. They ain't coming close to 50K, but that doesn't mean they won't announce, like, I don't know, 48 one night, 51 the next. That'd be my prediction. Plus Ultra Adrian, I only care for 3 matches at WrestleMania. Oba Brock, the ladder match, and Punk and Roman. Thank you for all you do, Solo. Sorry you had to watch SmackDown. I'm sorry too. I'm sorry too. But I got a job to do, damn it. Kung Fu Joseph, buy or sell Baseball Hall of Fame, Bonds or A-Rod? Well, I mean, given the circumstances, I don't think either one belong in there. But if I had to choose one, it's Barry Bonds. Jeremy Thunderstrikes, Punk should invade Pat's house like Triple H did once. Super Pony, is this worse than 2018 to 2021? I think it might be. I don't know if it's worse. It's pretty fucking bad, dude. It's bad. It's very bad. It's all just so terrible. Hydrograd with a 10. The people of New Orleans that were upset about getting screwed out of WrestleMania are probably looking at this build like, yeah, nah, Vegas can have this shit. Good, it's what they get for not running New Orleans this year. I'd be more upset because if they were running New Orleans this year, I would be there. I was all ready to go. Everybody was having talks with my friends. All right, we got to get the Airbnb. And then they switched it. Mike says, New York street fight between you and Pat McAfee. Who wins, Solomonster? We'll see. I don't. Where is Pat from? Is Pat's not from New York. Pat's from Indiana, right? See, I'm from New York. I know Pat may be a former punter, but I got a few tricks up my sleeve. Unpopular opinion, Gunther kind of bores me in the ring and on the mic. Just not my cup of tea, I guess. Hey, different strokes. It's all good. Carlos Galvan with a $9.99. Just went to my break at work so I can join the stream and say what the fuck is going on over at the Fed. Copy and paste from last year is insane. Yeah, it's bad, dude. It's bad. EJ Slemp, I'd rather have Jeremy Piven, whose entourage character was inspired by Ari Emanuel, mention Summerfest on TV than Pat McAfee. I would rather watch Summerfest than this WrestleMania main event. We got the Lore Maestro. Hey, Solo, showing some love? See you on TNT. I will be there. We've been putting up some big numbers, so I will see you there. Venom Katetsu, Liv will come visit you. But a Mania, if you buy a Mania ticket, well, then they would undoubtedly start moving tickets. They would be able to hit that 60K mark if they did that. Mike says, worst WrestleMania booking decision of all time. Mine is Triple H pinning Booker T clean at WrestleMania 19. Still makes me mad to this day. Yeah, I mean, that's awful, but that's not the worst. I think last year has to be up there. I really do. Like, you had one job. And you only have one chance to set the record, which was number 17 last year, in the final year of the man who led your company for what, 10, 12, 15 years? How do you fuck that up? Like, it was on a platter. It was handed to you. How do you fuck that up? They fucked up number 17 last year. It's insane to me. Super Pony, wish KO was here to shit on this like Punk did. Yes, he is missed. He is definitely missed. Toya says, I'm excited for Be the Booker. Yeah, we got 2 rounds we got to get to. Jeremy Rose, hypothetically, if Triple H got removed and Tony offered him a job at AEW, would he take it? No. He's not going to go work for Tony Khan. That will never happen. I'll make it a prediction right now. That ain't ever going to happen. And Cameron Spencer. Sometimes wrestling can be so bad that it's funny. What was funnier, Katie Vick's segment or Rollins and Wyatt Hell in a Cell? I personally didn't really find the humor in either one of them, to be honest with you. Looking back at it, which one was funnier? I mean, I guess I would go for the Hell in a Cell just for the reaction. Like, trying to process that we had that sort of decision rendered in a Hell in a Cell match. But then you kind of look back and you realize, like, we've had other Hell in a Cell matches that had horrendous endings. I vividly recall one involving Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman, where Brock Lesnar, I think, broke the door down and ran in and I think laid them out with an F5, and apparently they were crippled and they were unable to move and the match was just thrown away. There have been some bad endings to some of those matches. But I did not derive any pleasure from either one of those things. They were both terrible. And Alex says, at this point, give me Tozawa versus the Great Khali in a Punjabi prison match over this. Well, you'll be happy to know, on that note, because we are due for 2 rounds of Be the Booker, that the Punjabi prison match is an option. We may well book one tonight. You may get your wish. So let's see. Let's Be the Booker. Let's not waste any more time. We got 2 rounds coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to Be the Booker.
You guys killed it on the likes. We are, what are we, 20? We're 20 some odd likes away from 1,000. We might hit 1,000 live for a SmackDown review. Let's see if we can hit 1,000 here while we're in the middle of doing Be the Booker. We need 1,000 likes. unlike WWE with their men's tag team titles this year, WrestleMania, we're going to book a tag team match. They got all the gold. Look at this. Bubba Ray and Devon. The Dudley Boys. One of the most decorated tag teams of all time. Just ask Bubba. He'll tell you. The Dudley Boys are going to be defending one of those titles. I don't know which ones. Against the Rockers. Demolition. The Rockers and I was have demolition on my brain. They're going into the Hall of Fame a week from tonight. I'll be coming home from Vegas that night just in time to tune into the Hall of Fame, which apparently is airing on YouTube and I believe possibly ESPN, from what I understand. All right, women's be the booker. You guys never know what kind of matches we're going to get here. This is always a crapshoot. Charlotte Flair. She's been doing the tag team thing, but she's got to be in singles action here. It'll be Charlotte Flair going one-on-one with Bianca Belair. Still waiting on that PLE match between these two. I think the only time they wrestled was, wasn't it on an episode of Raw years ago? I don't think they ever had a proper program together. Well, there's a hell of a match right there. Dude, we're on a roll so far. Charlotte and Bianca. And the Rockers and the Dudley Boys. Diamond Dallas Page. DDP is in the main event of round number 1. I was looking at the chat. I was slightly distracted there, so don't mind me. DDP against LA Knight. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. All right. See, now if they won't put him in the main event, I will. There you go. DDP and LA Knight. Bang, yeah. Bang, yeah. That's right. That's right. All right. So now, round number 2 is going to include stipulations. This is where the Punjabi prison could very well come into play. I hope not. I like this. Big Blue Cage. Now, I know it sucked for these guys because apparently that cage hurt like hell, but this is the cage I grew up on. I love Big Blue. I love me a Big Blue cage match. So we're going to have a Big Blue tag team cage match because we're going to start with the tag teams. Be nice to have back-to-back sweeps. We have Top Flight. Darius and Dante Martin in the Big Blue cage. We'll do drum rolls for all these. How about that? Top Flight against the two dudes with attitude, Diesel and Shawn Michaels in the Big Blue cage. I think I know who's going over in this match. And it ain't Top Flight. But actually, you know, Dante Martin in there with young Shawn Michaels. Mid-90s Shawn Michaels. That could be a lot of fun. And then at the end of all of it, Diesel can just powerbomb the shit out of him. I like it. All right, now our second match. Yeah, we know exactly who's going over in that match. We go from a Big Blue cage to a barbed wire steel cage. A lot of cages tonight. So, unfortunately, this falls on the ladies to have a barbed wire steel cage match. So, someone's getting cut up. Willow Nightingale. She could throw down. We've seen Willow. What was that? Willow and Statlander at All Out a few years ago. They had that street fight. Willow Nightingale inside the barbed wire cage. Feeling very cagey tonight. Oh, Bliss fan ain't gonna like this. This is not gonna end well for Alexa Bliss. But I gotta give it the bell. Alexa Bliss and Willow Nightingale. Oh, poor Alexa, though. She's gonna be all scarred up by the time this match is over. Will Bliss fan like Alexa anymore if she's all scarred up and she's not so pretty anymore? He may move on to someone else. And our main event, hey, Paul Carpenter, thank you for 36 months. He says 36 more of membership. Let's fucking go. That's right. Okay, here we go. Main event time. Oh, this again. Someone's losing an eye. Eye for an eye is our main event. Here in Be the Booker. It is eye for an eye, ladies and gentlemen. It all comes down to this. We have Andrade El Idolo, who will be wrestling Darby Allin on Sunday night at Dynasty. Will the ladies still love him if he has an eye patch on, though? Andrade against Bandito. How about this? Holy shit. Look at this. We just had this match at Revolution. We're getting it again. See, I think this is going to work out really well, though, for Bandito because he's got the mask on. How are you going to pluck the eye out of the mask? Doesn't really work. Andrade against Bandito. Now, you tell me that the cards I just booked for you here, that these wouldn't be shows that you would pay TKO ticket prices to see these shows. Fuck WrestleMania. WrestleMania just came tonight. A double kill. We went 6 for 6 tonight. It's the power of all of you guys. All your support tonight. You powered me through. I love it. We're not done. We got a few more messages here. Get them on in. Actually, did we? I believe we did. We smashed 1,000 likes.
Mentos, the fresh maker.
Yukio rules with the $30 Mentos, the fresh maker super chat. Solo Mania is running wild. It was tonight. Be the Booker. Mike says, is that the WWE Rockers or the Midnight Rockers from the AWA? That is the WWE Rockers. Yukio with the 30. Thanks for all you do. I wanted to send this before I forget. Going to go back and watch from the beginning. Well, you got a lot to go through. So enjoy. We're almost 3 hours deep here. And Super Pony. Alberto Del Dipshit or Pat McAfee? Pat McAfee. Never Alberto Del Dipshit. Not when he's going around allegedly smacking women around. You can go fuck off. Take Pat McAfee over him any day. Just not in the main event of WrestleMania. Duff's Vids, Hall of Fame is booked better than WrestleMania. Can't wait. It's a strong class. I mean, just for AJ, Demolition, and Sid alone. It's a strong class this year. Question is, who do they main event with? Who main events the Hall of Fame? AJ Styles or Stephanie McMahon? I don't know. I think it's I think one is going to open and one is going to close. So if I had to venture a guess, I'm going to say Stephanie opens and I'm going to say they close with AJ. If I had to make a prediction. And Reconsun, 53 months of channel membership. Thoughts on the Mets so far? Hot and cold. I mean, there's things to like, things to not like. Boba. I mean, we'll see where things go with him as we get a little bit deeper into the season. I think the pitching by and large has been good. I mean, again, there's things to like, there's things to not like. It's just, we'll see in a month where they are. And Larry Jester, eye for an eye. Solo Sikoa versus Eric Rowan equals Irk or Skoa. Get it? He removed the I from their names. That's a terrible joke. And Mike says, when are we ever going to get Batista in the Hall of Fame? When he's available. I think it just comes down to his schedule and his availability. But it will happen. It will happen with him. It'll be the same thing with Rock and Cena. It's going to come down to their availability more than anything else. And then as far as like Jericho and Big Show, that just comes down to when they are no longer under contract to the other company. Because as long as they are, they ain't going nowhere. So there's still some big names out there that aren't in. My God, she's getting angry. You know why? Because she has no WrestleMania match yet. That's why she's so angry. That's well now with a $15 super chat. Late to the party, but here's my weekly solo love. Hope you had a good stream, brother. Had to be better than SmackDown. Oh, it was. Very cathartic. Batista is a headliner and it will be huge. Yeah, I mean when he goes in, he should be the headliner. I can't imagine that they or who they would put in the same class. I mean, look, unless he goes in the same class with Cena. Any class that Cena goes in, he's the headliner. Same thing with Rock. We got Sam Rizza. Solo, buy or sell. Bring Dustin Rhodes back as 7 and Sean Waltman as 6. 6-7. I'm going to sell. And that Joe guy with the $5 super chat. Solo, did you happen to see Demolition's tag team entrance in 2K26? I did. And do my ears deceive me? Or did they lay down a cover of their theme song? Doesn't sound terrible, but I noticed it right away. It's not the actual theme music, which makes me wonder if that's what they're coming out to at the Hall of Fame. Super Pony says Cena should induct AJ. I think he would be the appropriate one. I agree. And we know he'll be in town because he's hosting the show. So I think there's a very good chance that Cena will do the induction. Oh, anyway. I'm pooped. Like this show. This television show is poop. Well, I hope you at least enjoyed the review, even if you did not enjoy SmackDown tonight. SmackDown sucks. I don't have any other eloquent way to say it. The show is fucking garbage. I hope it gets better, but it seems to get worse by the week. It's just awful. I'm going to be back with you live on Monday night. But before that, we have the Sound Off on Sunday, episode 959. We got a lot to talk about, including WrestleMania predictions for night 1 and night 2. And then there was a lot of other news during the week. So we'll talk about all of that on Sunday. No Dynasty live stream on Sunday night. I'll be watching it. I'm going to save my review for the Uncrowned show on Tuesday. Monday night, we'll be live here on the channel for Raw. I am flying out on Wednesday morning to Las Vegas because we have the House of Glory show on Thursday night, which we'll be streaming if you can't make it live. Streaming on Triller TV Plus. If you are going to be in Vegas, though, Thursday night, 8 p.m. at the Palms Casino Resort at the Pearl Theater, it's going to be a big show. We got a loaded lineup. It'd be great to see some of you there. And so that's where I'm going to be. So there's not going to be a Dynamite review on Wednesday, and I will not be home in time for SmackDown. So just be aware of that. But of course, next weekend is a big weekend because we got WrestleMania Night 1 and we got WrestleMania Night 2, for better or worse. So it's going to be a very busy week coming up. Hopefully I'll see some of you in Vegas. Remember what they say, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Drew McIntyre, 38 months of channel membership. Didn't go to SmackDown in my city today because it is so bad. I think you made the right call. I think you made the right call. Dr. Scorpio says, LOL, WWE, take care, Solo. Appreciate you. Thank you. And Luis, 58 months of channel membership, says, Dodgers versus Mets at the NLCS. Book it. Yeah. Yeah. And then we'll kick their ass. Beat Otani. I like it. I like the way that sounds. Yes. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, as long as you don't get a female pregnant. Well, hey, the same still applies. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Anyway, have a good night. Go check out the other content on the channel. And I will see you guys on the audio download for episode 959 coming up on Sunday. It's going to be a big one. Until then, take care, guys. Thanks for the love.